Chapter 1448. Chapter 1448. Ready, everything is under your control? Hearing Ning Yu's words, Master Xingyun was briefly stunned before he retracted his soul force from the nihility pellet furnace. Since Master Xingyun's soul force had reached the level of turning liquid into a pellet, his actions weren't noticed by Bai Dun and the rest. That's right. Everything is under my control. Ning Yu nodded his head and sent a wisp of his soul force into the nihility pellet furnace. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. The soul-luring pellet in the nihility pellet furnace broke into two. Crack! Under Ning Yu's powerful soul force and the control of the nihility pellet furnace, the two halves of the soul-luring pellet furnace underwent an unbelievable change. The two halves of the soul-luring pellet furnace slowly healed. Two soul-luring pellets? Master Xingyun was speechless when he saw the changes of the soul-luring pellet furnace in the nihility pellet furnace. The soul-luring pellet could be refined like this? Even with his years of experience, he had never heard of a successful pellet splitting into two. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next instant, Ning Yu slapped the pellet furnace and the lid flew up. Two pellets flew out from the nihility pellet furnace. Ning Yu swiftly grabbed the two soul-luring pellets in his hand. Fortunately, I didn't fail. Opening his palm, Ning Yu continued, I've finally refined the soul-luring pellet. How is this possible? Seeing the two pellets in Ning Yu's hand, Bai Dun and the 9th grade Earth Sovereign widened their mouths in disbelief. How could he refine two soul-luring pellets? That didn't make sense. Haha, nothing is impossible. Ning Yu smiled and turned to Bai Dun. The reason why I could refine two soul-luring pellets is all thanks to City Lord Bai and Bai Qi. You're flattering me. It's all thanks to you. Bai Dun's eyes spun, and then he said, Since the soul-luring pill has been refined, then in my opinion, we should let the palace master consume it first. Although there were many questions in his heart, Bai Shield did not want to care too much about it at the moment. He was more concerned about when Palatial Lord Centauria would consume the soul-luring pill. As long as Palatial Lord Centauria consumed the soul-luring pill, he would be able to use the enhanced white bone powder within the soul-luring pill to control her. Once he controlled the Centauria Palace Master, he would be able to make Fairy Yunshi hesitate and hand over the Centauria fan. Of course, Ning Yu moved and arrived in front of Palatial Lord Centauria. After handing the two soul-luring pills to Palatial Lord Centauria, Ning Yu lowered his voice and said, Consume the second pill. Don't make a sound. Ning Yu's voice was very soft, so soft that only Palatial Lord Centauria could hear it. Ning Yu's words stunned the Centauria Palace Master, and she was a little confused. Even though she was very puzzled, she still chose to believe Ning Yu. After all, it would be impossible for her to obtain the soul-luring pill without Ning Yu, let alone cultivate the soul-luring technique. Crack! Palatial Lord Centauria seemed very composed on the surface as she picked up the second soul-luring pill and tossed it into her mouth. Unrelated people, move aside. I'm going to teach Palatial Lord Centauria the soul-luring technique. When he saw Palatial Lord Centauria consume the soul-luring pill without any hesitation, Ning Yu said in a low voice, Senior Yunshi, please seal the space around me and Palatial Lord Centauria. No one is allowed to approach us without my permission. Fairy Yunshi didn't move, and she moved her gaze towards Palatial Lord Centauria to seek her opinion. Palatial Lord Centauria nodded and said, Ning Yu's opinion is my opinion. Understood. Since Palatial Lord Centauria had spoken, then Fairy Yunshi didn't hesitate any longer. She withdrew the Centauria fan and surrounded Ning Yu and Palatial Lord Centauria. What should we do? Seeing Fairy Yunshi using the Centauria fan to surround Ning Yu and Palatial Lord Centauria, the 9th grade Earth Sovereign's face was a little unsightly. Truth be told, it was practically impossible for him and Bai Shield to break through the Centauria fan's defenses. Their trump card was to control Palatial Lord Centauria and order Fairy Yunshi. But the current situation was a little out of their expectations. Wait. Bai Shield's words were concise and comprehensive. There was only one word, and that was to wait. Just a moment ago, Bai Shield tried to use the white bone demonic powder in the palatial Lord Centuria's body. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't use it. Bai Shield felt that this was the doing of the Centuria fan. The Centuria fan had sealed the space around Ning Yu and palatial Lord Centuria, so he couldn't use the white bone demonic powder. How long do we have to wait? The 9th grade Earth Sovereign was a little anxious. I don't know either. At the very least, we have to wait for the palatial Lord Centuria to learn the soul attraction art. Bai Shield shook his head. That works too. If we control the palatial Lord Centuria now, Ning Yu might not impart the soul attraction art to her. We can only control her after she learns the soul attraction art. We might even have a chance to obtain the cultivation method of the soul attraction art. The 9th grade Earth Sovereign was a little excited. If this situation continued, there was a 90% chance that they could control the palatial Lord Centuria fan. Drip, drip. Time continued to flow. In the sealed region, Ning Yu told the palatial lord the cultivation method of the soul attraction art and even helped the palatial Lord Centuria fan practice it. With the palatial Lord Centuria fan's comprehension ability, it wasn't too difficult to practice the soul attraction art. In just 4 to 5 hours, she had already succeeded in learning the soul attraction art. This cultivation speed wasn't inferior to Ning Yu in his previous life. I'm very sorry for what Ning Yu and Lu Wei have experienced. After learning the soul attraction art, the palatial Lord Centuria fan took a deep breath and explained to Ning Yu, the peerless killing array in Giant Shield City is controlled by Bai Dun. Even as the palatial lord of the palatial Lord Centuria fan, I'm still affected by Bai Dun. After all, I'm only a wisp of my soul. Ning Yu didn't say anything. Seeing that Ning Yu wasn't speaking, the palatial Lord Centuria fan continued, it was only when Fairy Yun Shi and Demon Sage arrived that my authority in Giant Shield City increased. Since you haven't appeared for a long time, and I don't have much time left, I listened to Bai Dun's suggestion and got Grandmaster Zhao to refine the soul attraction pill. Grandmaster Zhao? Ning Yu was puzzled. That's right. Zhao Huan, Grandmaster Zhao. The palatial Lord Centuria fan nodded. I don't care if he's Zhao Huan or Go Huan. I only have one request. Ning Yu shrugged and continued, Bai Dun and Zhao Huan must die. This, hearing Ning Yu's words, the palatial Lord Centuria fan was a little awkward. With Fairy Yun Shi and Demon Sage's strength, they might be able to kill Bai Dun and Zhao Huan with the 100 Flowers fan. However, the palatial Lord Centuria fan didn't want to be enemies with Bai Dun and Zhao Huan. After all, any pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign was extremely important to Giant Shield City. There's something that I haven't told you. I've refined 2 soul attraction pills, and there's a problem with the first one. As for why there's a problem with the soul attraction pill, I believe you don't need me to tell you, right? Chapter 1449. Chapter 1449. Chapter 1449 To strike suddenly, its white shield and the others. Palatial Lord Centuria's expression was extremely ugly. Ning Yu had already put it this way. No matter how stupid she was, she could guess the reason. Just now, Bai Dun's soul power had entered the nothingness pill furnace, and Bai Qi had helped him fuse the medicinal liquid. The problem with the soul-luring pill was definitely Bai Shield's doing. You are very smart. Ning Yu nodded and said, now is the best time to kill Bai Dun and Zhao Huan. If we miss this opportunity, there won't be another one. But, Palatial Lord Centuria said hesitantly. To be honest, Palatial Lord Centuria knew very well that attacking Bai Shield and Zhao Huan in this space was the best choice. That's because the 100 Flowers fan could be unleashed in this space. With Bai Shield's cultivation at the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm and Zhao Huan's spiritual energy, it wouldn't be difficult for him to leave. I've told you what I want to say. As for whether you're willing to help or not, it has nothing to do with me. Ningyu shrugged, and then he said in a clear voice, Senior Yunshi, please open up space. The palace mistress of the Flower Palace has already cultivated the soul guidance technique successfully. Voila! With a flick of her wrist, the seal around Ningyu and the palatial Lord Centauria completely vanished. Seeing the barrier disappear, Bai Shield's heart stirred, and he hurriedly activated the white bone demonic powder in the 100 Flowers Palace Master's body. Ningyu, the first soul-luring pill has changed. Just as White Shield activated the white bone fiend powder, Palatial Lady Centauria's first soul-luring pill began to buzz. That's very normal. White Shield has already begun to activate the white bone demonic powder within the soul-luring pill. If you don't want to expose yourself, it would be best for you to pretend to have fallen for his trap. Ningyu was not surprised. Ever since he found out that the soul-luring pill contained white bone demonic powder, he was very clear about Bai Shield's ambitions. Previously, with the restriction of the barrier, White Shield was unable to contact the white bone demonic powder. Now that the barrier was broken, White Shield would definitely contact the white bone demonic powder immediately. Pucci! The palace master's expression was gloomy and indeterminate. In the end, she suddenly spat out a mouthful of scarlet-red blood while her countenance turned slightly pale. Success! Bai Dun and Zhao Huan exchanged a glance when they saw the palatial mistress spit out a mouthful of blood. They could see the excitement in each other's eyes. Palace Master Bai Hua, you've already been hit by the strengthened version of white bone devil powder. If you don't want to die, you'd better obediently order Fairy Yun Shi to hand over the 100-flower fan. Bai Shield sent a spiritual message to Palatial Lord 100 Flowers. After all, the 100-flower fan was in Fairy Yun Shi's hands. Before obtaining the 100-flower fan, Bai Shield did not want to fall out with Fairy Yun Shi. How did you do it? Are you with Ningyu? Palatial Lord Centauria was very good at acting, she said in surprise. You clearly have a grudge with Ningyu. Lu Wei and company are currently in a very bad situation. How can Ningyu be with you? I got it. Bai Qi must have reached some kind of agreement with Ningyu when he was walking towards Ningyu. You're so cruel. Palatial Lord Centauria's words left Bai Shield dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? How could he have reached an agreement with Ningyu? Wait. Bai Shield's heart stirred. Since Palatial Lord Centauria thought that he was with Ningyu, he might as well beat her at her own game and get Fairy Yun Shi to hand the 100-flower fan to Ningyu. Fairy Yun Shi was not easy to deceive. If Fairy Yun Shi suddenly handed the 100-flower fan to Palatial Lord Centauria, she would definitely be suspicious. If she handed the 100-flower fan to Ningyu, she might not be so suspicious. Get Fairy Yun Shi to hand the 100-flower fan to Ningyu, then get Ningyu to hand the 100-flower fan to Bai Qi. Bai Shield sent a voice transmission to Palatial Lord Centauria. This is the only way I won't cripple your soul force. Otherwise, you should know the consequences. Palatial Lord Centauria's expression was gloomy. She wanted Fairy Yun Shi to make a move against Bai Shield, but she was worried that she couldn't kill Bai Shield and give him a chance to escape. For a moment, the Palatial Lord Centauria was in a dilemma. Agree to it. Suddenly, Ningyu's voice resounded in the Palatial Lord Centauria's ears. Hearing Ningyu's words, the Palatial Lord Centauria was briefly stunned before she replied, How did you know about my conversation with Bai Shield? The Palatial Lord Centauria was baffled. Bai Shield's conversation with her was through spiritual voice transmission. Bai Shield was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, so how could Ningyu eavesdrop on his conversation? Don't worry about that. As long as you do as I say, there's a high chance that you can kill Bai Shield, Ningyu said, not wanting to waste any more time with the Palatial Lord Centauria. No matter how powerful Bai Shield was, his soul force couldn't be compared to Grandmaster Xingyun. If Bai Shield concealed himself, Then it would be hard for Grandmaster Xingyun to discover his conversation with the palatial Lord Centauria. However, Bai Shield did not conceal himself, since he didn't believe that anyone in this space could discover his conversation with the palatial Lord Centauria. No problem. The palace master gritted her teeth, and then she said in a clear voice, Fairy Yunxi, I'm going to execute the soul guidance technique now. Pass the 100-flower fan to Ningyu and ask him to stand on guard for me. You want Ningyu to protect you? Fairy Yunxi was briefly stunned before she asked. That's right. Only Ningyu knows about the soul attraction art, so he can only be the one to protect me. The palatial Lord Centauria nodded her head and continued, Ningyu is only an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, so he can ensure that nothing goes wrong with the 100 Flowers fan. Alright. Although Fairy Yunxi was a little doubtful, she couldn't afford to overthink the current situation. With a flick of her wrist, Fairy Yunxi tossed the 100 Flowers fan to Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun, watch my eyes and think of a way to cut off the connection between the 100 Flowers fan and Fairy Yunxi. Grabbing onto the 100 Flowers fan, Ningyu walked towards the palatial Lord Centauria. Rustle. At the same time, Zhao Huan and Bai Qi also moved towards the palatial Lord Centauria. Zhao Huan and Bai Qi's actions made Fairy Yunxi frown her brows. She vaguely felt that something was amiss. However, she could still contact the 100 Flowers fan. If there were any changes in the situation, she would immediately retrieve the 100 Flowers fan. Grandmaster Xingyun, how confident are you in capturing Zhao Huan if I let you fight? Looking at Zhao Huan and Bai Qi approaching him, Ningyu contacted Grandmaster Xingyun. 100%. Grandmaster Xingyun, who had recovered to his peak state, was very confident. After all, he was already an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. Coupled with the strength of his liquefaction pellet, there shouldn't be any problems facing Zhao Huan. Alright, when Bai Qi and Fairy Yunxi take another 3 steps, cut off the connection between the 100 Flowers fan and Fairy Yunxi, and control Zhao Huan. Leave Bai Qi to me. Ningyu gripped the 100 Flowers fan tightly and said in a deep voice. Boom, boom, boom. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 step. When Bai Qi took his 3rd step, Grandmaster Xingyun suddenly appeared from the Tower of Ascension. He first cut off the connection between Fairy Yunxi and the 100 Flowers fan, then his right hand suddenly enlarged and grabbed towards Zhao Huan. Chapter 1450. All-round advantage. Shit. Zhao Huan sensed that something was amiss the moment Master Xingyun emerged from the Tower of Yuzuan. He didn't think too much about it. He immediately turned around and flew toward the white shield. Zhao Huan was no fool. Although he couldn't see his opponent's face, he knew that his opponent's soul power had reached the level of liquefaction. His soul power had reached the level of liquefaction, and his cultivation was at the level of a grade 8 Earth Supreme. This level of strength was enough to fight against an ordinary Sky Supreme. Zhao Huan was only a grade 9 Earth Supreme, and his soul power had only reached the level of liquefaction. He would be courting death if he fought with his opponent. Bang! However, Zhao Huan wasn't as fast as Master Xingyun. Before he could take a few steps back, his shoulder was grabbed by Grandmaster Xingyun's huge palm. He was forcefully thrown to the other side and crashed heavily on the ground. Zhao Huan spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression was extremely ugly. Who are you? Zhao Huan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared at the illusory figure in front of him. This is our giant shield city's matter. Why are you interfering? Since Master Xingyun had concealed his face, Zhao Huan didn't know who he was. Noisy. Master Xingyun's goal was to kill Zhao Huan, not to talk nonsense with him. As he shouted, Grandmaster Xingyun unleashed his terrifying soul power. It tore through the void and arrived before Zhao Huan in the blink of an eye, piercing towards her sea of consciousness. By shield, save me! Zhao Huan screamed hysterically at the critical moment. Their soul powers weren't on the same level. Zhao Huan would definitely lose if they fought head-on. Only with Bai Shield's help could Zhao Huan have a chance at survival. Otherwise, he would definitely die. Hold on a little longer. Bai Shield didn't have time to care about Zhao Huan. His attention was completely focused on the battle between Bai Qi and Ning Yu. Ning Yu had the 100-flower fan. As long as Bai Qi could get it, it would be worth it even if Zhao Huan was killed. Hold on, my ass. Zhao Huan was so angry that his nose was crooked. He was completely at a disadvantage. At this rate, he could only hold on for 5 minutes at most. He would definitely be killed in 5 minutes. I need to think of a countermeasure. Zhao Huan rolled her eyes. While blocking Master Xing Yun's powerful attack, she secretly thought of a countermeasure. Rumble. On another battlefield, Ning Yu and Bai Qi fought again. This time, Ning Yu did not let the sapling help him. After all, be it Fairy Yun Shi, Daoist Shen Mo, Palatial Lord Centauria, or White Shield, all of them were very powerful. It was unwise to expose the sapling in front of them. With the red demon sword in hand, Ning Yu exchanged several blows with Bai Qi. Since he did not have the help of the sapling and his cultivation was much lower than Bai Qi's, Ning Yu was at a complete disadvantage. Give me your 100-flower fan, or I'll let you know that flowers, Bai Qi said coldly. So much nonsense. Ning Yu interrupted Bai Qi and said coldly, if I can defeat you once, I can defeat you twice, thrice, or even kill you with ease. Ah! As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, Bai Qi raised his head and laughed. Shortly after, he changed the topic and eerily said, an 8th-grade middle-phase human sovereign like you is something that I can crush with a single hand. The moment the word die was heard, Bai Qi's figure dashed out and appeared next to Ning Yu in an instant. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched towards Ning Yu's face with violent Yuan Qi gales. Bai Qi's punch was so powerful that even an ordinary 3rd-grade Earth sovereign might not be able to withstand it. Could Ning Yu, who was only an 8th-grade intermediate human sovereign, block it? The answer was obviously no. Ning Yu was no fool. With his current strength, it was not wise to fight Bai Qi head-on. Come out. With a thought, Ning Yu tore through the void and disappeared. Whoosh! The Yuezuan pagoda suddenly appeared at the place where Ning Yu disappeared. Due to Bai Qi's speed, he was unable to stop himself and entered the first level of the Tower of Yuzu. Good. Seeing Bai Qi enter the Tower of Yuzu, Ning Yu's lips curled into a smile. I might not be your opponent outside, but I can easily defeat you in the Tower of Yuzu. However, Ning Yu did not have the time to control Bai Qi and quickly retreated with the Tower of Yuzu. That was because Bai Qi had already appeared before him. When Ning Yu brought out the Transcendence Pagoda, Bai Shield understood everything. Since Ning Yu had the Tower of Yuzu, that meant that the other cultivator was Master Xingyun. Today is a good day. I can get the 100-flower fan and the Tower of Yuzu. Bai Qi rushed toward Ning Yu and said in ecstasy, the Jin family and the Arch Palace attacked Nebula Academy, but I got there first and took advantage of them. The news of the Jin family and the Arch Palace attacking Nebula Academy had already spread throughout the Pill Formation continent. The main reason Bai Qi did not recognize Master Xingyun immediately was because he thought that Master Xingyun was dead for sure. Palatial Mistress, get Fairy Yun Shi to help Zhao Huan capture Master Xingyun alive. Bai Qi did not forget to order the Palatial Mistress as he rushed toward Ning Yu. No problem. The Palatial Mistress pretended to be in a difficult position, then gritted her teeth and said, Fairy Yun Shi, go deal with Master Xingyun. No matter what, you must capture him alive. The Palatial Mistress acting was very good, and Fairy Yun Shi's acting was also very good. In the next instant, Fairy Yun Shi's hands tore through the void, and she dove straight in. After Fairy Yun Shi disappeared, Bai Qi no longer paid attention to her and focused on fighting Ning Yu. No matter what, he had to obtain the 100 Flowers fan and the Ascension Pagoda. Bai Qi, if you dare to touch me, I will definitely kill Bai Qi. Looking at the approaching Bai Qi, Ningyu solemnly said. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. As he spoke, he controlled the Ascension Pagoda and started to attack Bai Qi, who was on the first level of the Ascension Pagoda. Arg! Without a doubt, Bai Qi was only a third-grade Earth Sovereign, so he naturally couldn't resist the powerful pressure of the Ascension Pagoda. A hysterical shriek resounded from Bai Qi's mouth that resounded in this region. When I brought Bai Qi in, I never thought that he would be able to live. Bai Qi coldly said, There's something that I might not tell you. There's a terrifying energy in Bai Qi's body. If I can't obtain the Ascension Pagoda, I will destroy it. You think that I don't know about the terrifying energy in Bai Qi's body? An arc rose on the corner of Ningyu's lips as he sneered. You can try to communicate with it and see if you can contact the energy in Bai Qi's body. Hearing Ningyu's words, Bai Qi was briefly stunned before he started to contact the energy in Bai Qi's body. It's not good to be distracted right now. Chapter 1451. Danger. Damn it! The sudden change caused Bai Shield's expression to turn extremely ugly. Everything was originally under his control. Now that Fairy Yun she had suddenly appeared and attacked him, it was truly out of his expectations. Cursing inwardly, Bai Shield hurriedly gave up on Ningyu and retreated. Where do you think you're going? Seeing that Bai Shield wanted to retreat, Perfected Devil didn't stay idle and attacked Bai Shield from another direction. Fairy Yun she attacked Bai Shield from the front while Perfected Devil attacked from the side. Ningyu even returned the 100-flower fan to Fairy Yun she. Rumble! With the 100-flower fan in hand, Fairy Yun she displayed extremely terrifying strength, forcing Bai Shield to retreat again and again. Explode! Although Bai Shield was retreating, he still split a portion of his perception to detonate the terrifying energy within Bai Qi's body. Today, we'll perish together. At this point, Bai Shield finally understood everything. Ningyu had already seen through the enhanced version of white bone powder. The soul-luring pill that the palatial lord had consumed did not contain white bone powder. In other words, everything was just his own wishful thinking. He had fallen into a trap long ago. Since that was the case, none of them would have an easy time. What's going on? However, what happened next caused Bai Dun's heart to sink to the bottom of the valley. No matter how he used his secret technique, he couldn't contact Bai Qi or the energy within Bai Qi's body. The Yuzuan Pagoda had cut off his connection with Bai Qi. Don't waste your energy. Bai Qi is doing very well in the Yuzuan Pagoda. He doesn't need your concern. Ningyu retreated to the palatial lord with the Yuzuan Pagoda and said indifferently, Ah! Bai Shield raised his head and roared. Things had turned around too quickly, completely out of his expectations. Crack! However, the worst was yet to come. Under Master Xing Yun's powerful attack, Zhao Huan didn't last long before being killed on the spot. Zhao Huan's essence spirit couldn't even escape and was killed by Master Xing Yun. I'll be back. After Zhao Huan was killed, a cold light flew out from Zhao Huan's corpse and flew into the distance. After leaving behind a ruthless sentence, Leng Meng forcefully tore open the void and escaped quickly. Where are you going? Not long after the cold light flew, Ningyu caught him off guard. It was the same method. The cold flash could not avoid the sneak attack of the Tower of Yuzuan and entered the first floor of the tower. The aura emitted by this cold light is extremely similar to that mysterious expert that trapped me in the Flower Palace. The palace master had a solemn expression as she spoke in a low voice. After all, the palatial mistress had fought the mysterious expert for many years. She was very familiar with the mysterious expert's aura. The true form of the cold light should be some kind of essence soul. Of course, it was not Zhao Huan's primordial spirit. Zhao Huan was merely the host that Cold Ray had chosen. It seems that White Shield is indeed in cahoots with that mysterious expert. Taking a deep breath, the palace master of the 100 Flowers Palace said solemnly, "we want to rush to the core of the peerless killing array as soon as possible. I'm afraid that something unexpected might happen if we delay." "We're going there now?" Ningyu slightly knitted his brows as he asked in puzzlement. "We still haven't gained complete control over White Shield. In my view, it's better for us to dig something out of White Shield's head after we've gained control of him. White Shield is a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and his soul energy isn't weak either. It won't be easy to dig anything out of his head." The palace master of the 100 Flowers Palace shook her head. "It's not difficult at all. Don't forget that Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul energy has reached the pellet transformation realm." Ningyu shrugged. Ordinary people might not be able to force any information out, but Grandmaster Xing Yun was different. With the strength of his soul energy, and the fact that he had trapped White Shield, he would definitely know everything in White Shield's mind. "Right, how did I forget about Grandmaster Xing Yun?" The palace master of the 100 Flowers Palace slapped her head before she shifted her gaze to the battlefield. In the battlefield, Grandmaster Xing Yun, Fairy Yun Shi, and Demon Sage held the absolute advantage. White Shield could only bitterly hold on. If it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to capture White Shield alive, he would have long been killed. How could he possibly hold on until now? "What do you guys want?" After enduring an attack from Fairy Yun Shi, White Shield immediately retreated and said in a solemn voice, "You have two choices. You have two choices. The first is to let go of your mind and let us control your mind. The second is," as she spoke, Fairy Yun Shi briefly paused before she continued, "die." Rumble. Along with the word "die" from Fairy Yun Shi's mouth, the temperature in this region instantly dropped to the freezing point. Rustle. The 100 Flowers fan in her hand fluttered and several terrifying gales appeared, enveloping White Shield. "Impossible." White Shield's face was cold as he barked, "If you guys continue to force me, I will self-destruct. I'm a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. You guys should know the consequences if I self-destruct. Even if I die, I'll drag a few of you down with me." White Shield's expression was decisive. At the same time, his body started to swell, as if he was prepared to self-destruct. "You won't even have the chance to self-destruct before me." Ever since Fairy Yun Shi had used the 100 Flowers fan to trap White Shield, Master Xing Yun had revealed a confident expression. In the next moment, Master Xing Yun's soul force surged out and flew towards White Shield from all directions. Master Xing Yun's soul force had reached the level of liquefaction elixir. Coupled with the fact that White Shield was trapped, Master Xing Yun's soul force instantly arrived around White Shield and entered his body. Sizzle! Sizzle! Under the suppression of Master Xing Yun's powerful soul force, White Shield's body started to shrink. Success! Fairy Yun Shi, Taoist Master GMO, and the others all revealed looks of astonishment when they saw the changes in by Shield's body. Both of them wore grave expressions. The strength of liquefaction elixir's soul force was truly terrifying. "If I don't use my trump card, I won't be Master Xing Yun's opponent." This was what Fairy Yun Shi thought to herself. Even with Fairy Yun Shi's help, it was enough to show how terrifying Master Xing Yun was to be able to escape from the encirclement of the Jin family and Divine Emperor Palace. After his soul force entered White Shield's body, Master Xing Yun circulated his soul force, causing White Shield to spurt a mouthful of blood. At the same time, Master Xing Yun sealed all of White Shield's meridians so that White Shield couldn't self-destruct. Giant Shield City. Aside from Yu and Zhao Huan, there are also a few people from the 100 Flowers City. Seeing that White Shield was restrained, the Palatial Master and Ningyu quickly came before him. The Palatial Master's expression was grave as she coldly barked, "Tell me, and I can spare your life." Ah. Chapter 1452. Peerless Killing Array. Humph. Even if we become captives, we will subdue you first. Coldly snorting, The palace master cupped her fists towards Master Xingyun. Please take control of my shield and dig out all the information in his mind. The palace master had great respect for Master Xingyun. Firstly, Master Xingyun's soul energy had reached the level of a pellet, so even if she wasn't trapped, she still wouldn't be his opponent. Secondly, Master Xingyun had played a crucial role in her successfully breaking free and subduing Bai Shield. It could be said that if it wasn't for Master Xingyun and Ningyu, she would definitely be dead. No problem. Master Xingyun did not speak much. His soul energy had already entered Bai Shield's body and was drilling into Bai Shield's head. Arg! A tearing pain came from his head, causing Bai Shield to shriek like a pig being butchered. The pain was terrifying to the point that even Bai Shield couldn't bear it. Plop! The pain in his head caused Bai Shield's eyes to roll back and he fainted on the spot. Bai Shield is right. 3 hours ago, the entire 100 Flowers city has been mobilized. I believe that they will soon arrive at the city gate. Master Xingyun slightly knitted his brows as he continued. Furthermore, there are at least 30 hidden experts from the 100 Flowers city in the giant Shield City, and their cultivations are all in the Earth's sovereign realm. The 100 Flowers city has really launched an attack? The palace master was briefly stunned before she said, "Let's not delay any longer. We will head for the Peerless Killing Array's core and think of a way to activate it." Ningyu took a step forward and said, "Palace Master Centauria, you should first uncover the 30 hidden experts. Otherwise, if they work together, the consequences would be unimaginable. Leave this matter to Demon Venerable." Palatial Lord Centauria had long thought of this. As for Fairy Yun Shi and Master Xingyun, follow me to the Peerless Killing Array. The Peerless Killing Array was the key to resisting the 100 Flowers city's army. The moment the Peerless Killing Array was activated, it would be able to resist the experts of the 100 Flowers city for at least 3 days. It would take at least 3 days for him to use the soul attraction technique. Palatial Lord Centauria wanted to open the Supreme Killing Array to fend off the experts of Centauria City and to buy time for herself. There's no time to lose. Let's act as soon as possible. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Not only do we have to uncover the 30 hidden experts, but we also have to control the City Lord's mansion. We can't let anyone suspicious escape." "Leave it to me." Taoist Master GMO patted his chest and guaranteed, "As long as Grandmaster Xingyun can tell me the clues of those 30 experts, I promise I'll make sure nothing goes wrong. How about this? I'll share White Shield's memories." Grandmaster Xingyun's mind moved. In an instant, several soul memories flew out towards Master GMO, Fairy Yunxi, Palace Mistress Bai Hua, and the others. As for Ningyu, he had also obtained a set of memories. There is indeed something fishy. Upon seeing the changes in Palatial Lord Centauria and Fairy Yunxi's expressions, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. Just as he had guessed, Grandmaster Xingyun was still hiding something from them. From the memories that Grandmaster Xingyun had given him, Ningyu discovered that the core of the Supreme Killing Array was suppressing a supreme treasure. Although he didn't know what the supreme treasure was, Ningyu knew that it was definitely something extremely precious. Otherwise, with White Shield's status, there was no way he wouldn't know. "Are you confident?" Ningyu sent a voice transmission to Grandmaster Xingyun without batting an eyelid. The memories that Grandmaster Xingyun had given Ningyu were White Shield's complete memories. From the memories, Ningyu learned that in order to obtain such a supreme treasure, it wasn't enough to just break open the core of the array. After all, White Shield had tried before. With his strength, there was no way he could get close to the supreme treasure. In order to get close to the supreme treasure, one would first need a powerful energy barrier. That was because the place where the supreme treasure was located had a powerful pressure. Warriors with slightly weaker cultivations would be squeezed into powder just by a few steps. It's hard to say. We'll only know when we get to the core of the array. Grandmaster Xingyun said solemnly, If there's no other way, we can let White Shield scout ahead. Good idea. Ningyu nodded. White Shield was only severely injured, but he wasn't dead. Letting White Shield take the lead could also avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble. Crack! At this moment, Perfected Devil stomped on the ground and tore through the void, burrowing in. After obtaining the identity information of 30 hidden experts, Perfected Devil was 100% confident that he could capture all of them in one fell swoop. Let's go as well. Seeing Perfected Devil leave, Palace Master Bai Hua took a deep breath and said solemnly, "The experts from 100 Flowers City have already launched an attack. We have to completely control the Supreme Killing Array before they arrive." The current situation was very dangerous, and there was no room for hesitation. As soon as she finished speaking, Palace Master Bai Hua's figure flashed and flew out of this space. "Let's go." Fairy Yun she followed closely behind the 100 Flowers Palace Master. Ningyu grabbed onto White Shield and chased after her with Grandmaster Xing Yun. After leaving this sealed space, Palace Master Bai Hua rushed towards the forbidden area of the City Lord's mansion without stopping. The array core of the Supreme Killing Array was located in the depths of the forbidden area of the City Lord's mansion. Buzz, buzz. With Fairy Yun Shi and Grandmaster Xing Yun leading the way, Ningyu and Palace Master Bai Hua swiftly reached the depths of the forbidden area. The forbidden area of the City Lord's mansion, outsiders. Just when Ningyu and Fairy Yun Shi arrived at the depths of the forbidden area, 2 cultivators took a step forth and blocked their path. The 2 cultivators were both at the 7th grade Earth Sovereign Realm with powerful strength. Noisy. However, the voices of the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns were abruptly silenced. Grandmaster Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi had made their moves, and the outcome was unquestionable. The 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns were killed on the spot. From White Shield's memories, Grandmaster Xing Yun and the rest understood that the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns were 2 of the 30 hidden experts. Grandmaster Xing Yun and the rest did not feel any guilt killing the 2 of them. The array core of the Supreme Killing Array is in this chamber. After dealing with the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns, Grandmaster Xing Yun pointed at the stone door before him and faintly said, "You guys back off. Fairy Yun Shi and I will make a move together to blast the stone door open." Rustle! Rustle! Ningyu and Palace Master Bai Hua tactfully moved their feet and retreated to the other side. Before the stone door, Fairy Yun Shi held onto the 100 Flowers fan and Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul energy slammed against the stone door. Boom! Boom! 2 terrifying attacks slammed against the stone door. Crack! Crack! The stone door was hard enough to withstand the 2 terrifying attacks. It only made a cracking sound and was not blasted open. This stone door is special, there should be a restriction on the back. Fairy Yun Shi's face turned grave when she failed to blast open the stone door. In Bai Dun's memory, the last few times Bai Dun had entered this place, he had easily blasted open the stone door without encountering any obstructions. Chapter 1453. Chapter 1453. Chapter 1453. A precious treasure, even you can't open the stone door? Palatial Lord Centauria frowned slightly when she saw Yun Shi's expression. She said, "The core of the array is in this secret chamber. If we can't even open the stone door, then there's no way to activate the Peerless Killing Array." "There is a way, but it will take time." Fairy Yun Shi said, "If Grandmaster Xing Yun and I were to forcefully attack the stone door, we would be able to completely blast it open in about 2 to 3 hours. No, it's been too long." The Palace Master shook her head. In 2 to 3 hours, the army of 100 Flowers City had already reached the city. At that time, it would be too late to blast open the stone door and open the Peerless Killing formation. Only by breaking the stone door as soon as possible and opening the Peerless Killing Array could they resolve this crisis. "I have an idea, but, at this moment," Master Xing Yun said hesitantly. "Grandmaster Nebula, What solution do you have? Why don't you tell me directly? Asked palatial Lady Centaurea. Even if there was hope, it was still not as good as having hope. As long as they could blast open the stone door and open the peerless killing array, everything would be fine. I need Fairy Yunshi's help, and at this point, Master Xingyun paused for a moment. His gaze stopped on Ningyu for a moment before he continued. I didn't break open the stone door normally. I used a spatial node to send me and Ningyu in, because he knew that there was a supreme treasure at the eye of the peerless killing formation. Therefore, Grandmaster Xingyun was careful. He did not mention how to enter the stone chamber in the memories he gave to Fairy Yunshi and Palace Master Centaurea. The opportunity must be left to him and Ningyu. No problem. Fairy Yunshi, go and help. Palatial Lady Centaurea did not care who entered the stone chamber. What she wanted to see was to control the formation eye and open the peerless killing formation. As for whether they could enter the stone chamber or not, she did not care at all. All right. Even though she was a little doubtful, Fairy Yun she didn't think too much about it. She cupped her fists at Master Xingyun and said, Please guide me, Master Xingyun. You threw out 4 punches in a row, hitting the 4 corners of the stone door, while I forcibly tore open the void when the stone door shook and entered with Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun said solemnly. All right. Fairy Yun she didn't waste any words. She clenched her fists and charged forward. Bang, 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 bang. Fairy Yun she's attack speed was very fast. In almost an instant she had punched out 4 times. Just as Master Xingyun had said, her 4 punches landed on the 4 corners of the stone door. Go! Master Xingyun grabbed Ningyu, then forcefully tore open the void and entered. Buzz! After Grandmaster Xingyun and Ningyu entered the void, the area instantly became quiet. Palace Master, are you sure they can open the peerless killing array? For some reason, Fairy Yun she felt that something was wrong, but she wasn't very clear on what it was. It should be possible. The palatial mistress nodded. In fact, Palatial Mistress Centaurea also knew that there was something strange about Master Nebula and Ningyu. However, the current situation did not allow her to think too much. If she continued to delay, Ningyu and Master Xingyun might be fine, but she would not be able to hold on. Sigh, I was heartless to Ningyu. Sighing, Palatial Mistress Centaurea immediately sat down cross-legged and began to rest. Palatial Mistress Centaurea was preparing. As long as she was sure that the peerless killing array was opened, she would immediately use the soul attraction technique. With Fairy Yunshi's protection, she could use the soul attraction technique to ensure that nothing went wrong. Bang! At the same time, in the stone room that was separated from Palatial Mistress Centaurea by a door, Ningyu appeared from the void and slammed heavily onto the ground. What the F***? The moment he opened his eyes, Ningyu couldn't help but curse. Pressure. The terrifying pressure made it hard for Ningyu to breathe. Even though his cultivation had reached the mid-stage of the 8th grade and his soul power was at the peak of the 8th grade, he still found it hard to breathe, and even stand up was extremely difficult. Swish. At this moment, Grandmaster Xingyun appeared from the void. Powerful soul power surged out and formed a protective barrier around Ningyu. Phew! Feeling the pressure disappear, Ningyu let out a sigh of relief. That was close. Fortunately, Grandmaster Xingyun had helped him in time. Otherwise, he might have died here. After the pressure disappeared, Ningyu finally had the time to look around. Is that the core of the peerless killing array? Looking at the huge whirlpool in front of him, Ningyu said with a solemn expression, The treasure in Bai Dun's memories is in the whirlpool. We have 2 choices now. First, we can use a large amount of energy to activate the core and open the killing array. Grandmaster Xingyun explained. Second, we can enter the core and see what the treasure in Bai Dun's memories is. It's not wise to activate the core now. After a moment of silence, Ningyu shook his head and said, I only have less than 70,000 sovereign grade yuan crystals on me. Bai Dun was used to scout for us. If I use up my 70,000 sovereign grade yuan crystals now, it won't be worth it if we encounter danger at the treasure. Alright, let's enter the core first. Grandmaster Xingyun had the same thought as Ningyu. To be honest, he was worried that Ningyu would want to open the core first. Let's go. With the protection of Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power, Ningyu did not hesitate and rushed into the whirlpool. Seeing Ningyu enter the whirlpool, Grandmaster Xingyun did not stay idle. He leaped and followed Ningyu into the whirlpool. Crack, crack, crack. As soon as he entered the whirlpool, Ningyu's body was squeezed to the point that it was a little distorted. Inside the whirlpool, the protection of Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power was very weak. The reason why Ningyu could last until now was because of the law of space and the sapling. Grandmaster Xingyun. Ningyu used his perception and began to contact Grandmaster Xingyun. I'm here. However, as soon as Ningyu used his perception, he immediately cursed. He discovered that his perception could not go far from his body. After advancing a few meters, he was completely unable to move forward. His perception could not move forward, which meant that Ningyu could not contact Grandmaster Xingyun. Looks like I can only slowly move towards the deepest part of the whirlpool. Ningyu retracted his perception and his expression became extremely solemn. Without Grandmaster Xingyun's help, it would be extremely difficult for him to reach the deepest part of the whirlpool and find the treasure in Bai Dun's memories. However, even though it was difficult, Ningyu did not want to waste this good opportunity. In any case, the sapling and the law of space could still hold on. Every step forward was a step forward. Ningyu, hurry, hurry! Before Ningyu could take a few steps forward, the Dark Emperor in the storage ring let out an anxious voice. Hearing this, Ningyu was startled and asked, "What's going on? Do you know what the treasure is?" "Nonsense, of course I know what that treasure is." Chapter 1454. Great Tyrant, speak in human language, no dog language. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Just what is that treasure? What? You're eyeing that treasure? The Dark Emperor stared at Ningyu warily and said, I'll tell you the truth. That treasure belongs to the Sky-Devouring Hound clan. Even if you obtain it, it won't be of much use to you. Is that so? Ningyu's brows twitched, and then he stopped on the spot and didn't continue forward. From the Dark Emperor's expression, Ningyu could tell that the treasure in the depths was special, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to describe it as extremely precious. Otherwise, with the Dark Emperor's character, he wouldn't be so anxious. Alright, I'll tell you. Seeing Ningyu's actions, the Dark Emperor had no choice but to compromise. The treasure in the depths is the Sky-Devouring Scepter, the supreme treasure of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan. Sky-Devouring Scepter? Hearing that, Ningyu was briefly stunned before he asked, could it be the third supreme treasure of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, the Sky-Devouring Scepter? That's right. The Dark Emperor nodded. It is indeed the Sky-Devouring Scepter. Thereafter, the Dark Emperor immediately added, since you know about the Sky-Devouring Scepter, then you should know that only the Sky-Devouring Hound can use it. Let's go, I want to see what's so special about the Sky-Devouring Scepter. Ningyu didn't waste any more words. He walked towards the deepest part of the vortex step by step. In his previous life, even as a heavenly sovereign, Ningyu had never seen the Sky-Devouring Scepter. It was rumored that the reason why the Sky-Devouring Hound clan could stand on equal footing with the true dragon was due to their three supreme treasures. Amongst them, the third-ranked Sky-Devouring Scepter played a crucial role. In ancient times, the Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan wielded the Sky-Devouring Scepter and fought with the true dragon. Ever since that battle, the Sky-Devouring Hound clan became famous, and the Sky-Devouring Scepter's reputation also blossomed during that period. However, with the passage of time, the Sky-Devouring Hound clan disappeared in the long river of history, and the sky-devouring scepter naturally disappeared without a trace. Ningyu did not expect to hear news of the heaven-devouring scepter here. He even had the chance to obtain it. Ningyu would definitely not give up this opportunity. He took a deep breath and walked toward the deepest part of the vortex while paying attention to the changes in his surroundings. Don't be too anxious. I can sense that something is guarding the heaven-devouring scepter. The Dark Emperor was in the interspatial ring and did not come out. The Dark Emperor was not a stupid dog. With Ningyu's strength, coupled with the help of the sapling and the spatial laws, it would be difficult for him to move an inch in this place. If he were to go out, he would probably be squashed into a meat patty and die on the spot. I want to freaking be anxious, but do you think I can be anxious? Ningyu's face was filled with displeasure. That was the heaven-devouring scepter. Who wouldn't want to go there as soon as possible? However, even with the help of the sapling and the spatial laws, he had no way of speeding up. That was because the pressure in the surroundings was simply too terrifying. It was so terrifying that Ningyu had to stop and rest for a moment after taking 3 steps. Alright then. The Dark Emperor also knew that it was difficult for Ningyu. He seemed to have seen through it and went silent, choosing to keep his mouth shut. Crack crack. In the core of the supreme killing formation, Ningyu moved step by step. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed since Ningyu entered the core of the supreme killing formation. In this hour, the pressure on Ningyu was getting greater and greater. In the end, he had no choice but to expend Dharch-grade essence crystals rapidly to maintain it. Thankfully, Ningyu had many Dharch-grade essence crystals on him. Otherwise, it was unknown if he could survive in his current state. I can sense that I'll be able to see the heaven-devouring scepter in another half an hour. Although it was in the interspatial ring, the Dark Emperor was very sensitive to the heaven-devouring scepter. According to his calculations, he would definitely be able to see the heaven-devouring scepter in another half an hour. Roar. However, right then, something strange happened. A deafening roar sounded from afar. Swash. Accompanied by the roar, a figure bolted over from afar at an extremely terrifying speed. It's the demonic beast guarding the heaven-devouring scepter. The Dark Emperor in the interspatial ring exclaimed when he saw the massive creature that suddenly appeared. Ningyu, think of a way to defeat it. I'll cheer for you. Ningyu's face darkened. I won't say anything if you don't come out to help. But King said that you're cheering for me? If cheering works, what's the point of cultivating? Each time he fought with an enemy, it was not about cultivation or strength, but the number of cheers. Trespassing on the forbidden ground. Before long, the massive creature appeared before Ningyu and opened its mouth, saying coldly, "Kill without mercy." Gigantic tyrant? Ningyu frowned slightly as he looked at the behemoth in front of him. There was some doubt between his brows. The demonic beast was huge and looked extremely similar to the gigantic tyrant. However, there were differences between this demonic beast and the gigantic tyrant. It had a pair of wings on its back that resembled scissors and looked extremely terrifying. Gigantic tyrant. The massive creature's deep voice sounded with a sinister expression. Don't compare a low-level demonic beast like the gigantic tyrant to me. No, I don't care who you are. Anyway, you'll definitely die today for trespassing on the forbidden ground. Swash. As it spoke, the gigantic tyrant opened its mouth once more and spat out a cold beam of light. The cold beam of light was extremely fast and appeared before Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Clang! At that critical moment, Ningyu hurriedly took out the red demon sword and held it in front of him. Ding! The cold beam of light collided with the red demon sword, and the immense force sent Ningyu flying dozens of feet away. Fresh blood spurted out from Ningyu's mouth as his face turned extremely pale. How can your strength be so terrifying? Through this move, Ningyu could basically determine the gigantic tyrant's true strength. 4th grade Earth Sovereign. The gigantic tyrant's strength had reached the terrifying 4th grade Earth sovereign realm. Although it was only a 4th grade Earth sovereign, the spatial pressure here was terrifying, and the gigantic tyrant wasn't affected at all. Under normal circumstances, it would be hard for Ningyu to defeat a 4th grade Earth sovereign giant tyrant, not to mention now. I have to think of a way. Ningyu's face was dark. His eyes turned as he tried to think of a countermeasure. The current situation was extremely urgent for him. He definitely wasn't the gigantic tyrant's opponent in a head-on battle. Right now, he could only bring out the Tower of Ascension when it least expected and use the fact that the gigantic tyrant had never seen the Tower of Ascension before to lure it into the Tower of Ascension. Ningyu might not be the gigantic tyrant's opponent outside, but the moment it entered the Tower of Ascension, the gigantic tyrant wouldn't have any chance of winning, no matter how powerful it was. Let's do it this way. The current situation did not allow Ningyu to think too much. As he retreated, he took out the Tower of Ascension and hid it in his sleeve. Chapter 1455. Go deeper. Not bad, you actually managed to survive a move that contained 10% of my strength. You do have some ability. Seeing that Ningyu didn't die on the spot, the colossal tyrant was a little shocked. One must know that it was a 4th grade Earth sovereign, and even a move that contained 10% of its strength wasn't something that a middle phase 8th grade Earth sovereign could withstand. The fact that Ningyu was able to block one of his moves without dying was indeed beyond his expectations. But that was all. In the next moment, the colossal tyrant opened its mouth once again and charged towards Ningyu. This time, the giant Tyrannosaurus did not hold back. Its mouth grew larger and larger, and in the end it became several times larger. You want to devour me? The colossal tyrant's actions had caused Ningyu to be startled in his heart. But at the same time, hope was ignited in Ningyu's heart. It wouldn't be that easy for the colossal tyrant to devour him. When I enter your stomach, I'll enter the Ascension Pagoda and see if you can melt it. Ningyu made up his mind. It was so much so that when the colossal tyrant approached him, he slowly closed his eyes without any intention of resisting. Feigning death. The colossal tyrant wasn't surprised by Ningyu's actions. It opened its mouth and tried to devour Ningyu. After all, in its view, Ningyu would definitely die. A puny middle phase 8th grade Earth sovereign was simply courting death by barging into this place. However, it was proven that the colossal tyrant was overthinking things. Before its mouth could devour Ningyu, a silhouette tore through space and appeared before it. Not only was that silhouette swift, but it also had a powerful attack. Boom! A fist was thrown out, along with a violent gale, that heavily slammed against the colossal tyrant's head. The massive force caused the colossal tyrant's head to feel dizzy before it was sent flying. Crack! 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 It heavily crashed against the ground, emitting a few crisp sounds. Roar! After being punched in the head, even a few of the bones in its body were broken. The big tyrant raised its head and let out a furious roar. Who are you? Staring at the martial artist standing beside Ningyu, the great tyrant revealed a grave expression. The giant tyrant was not a fool. On the contrary, it was very smart. Ningyu was a pushover, but this martial artist who appeared beside Ningyu was no pushover. 8th grade Earth Sovereign. The cultivator that appeared beside Ningyu was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. What's going on outside? Why would that trash Zhao Huan let an 8th grade Earth Sovereign enter the array core? The giant tyrant's face was gloomy, and it was secretly thinking of countermeasures. However, Master Xingyun obviously wouldn't give him the chance. First, he separated a wisp of soul power to protect Ningyu in the middle. Then, he walked towards the giant tyrant step by step. Sha sha. Master Xingyun's speed wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either. Moreover, as Master Xingyun walked, he exerted his powerful soul power to suppress the giant tyrant. Crack! Under the terrifying soul power of Master Xingyun, the giant tyrant's knees made cracking sounds, and it couldn't help but kneel down. Who are you? Zhao Huan should be in charge of Giant Shield City. How could you come here? The giant tyrant scolded. Zhao Huan. Master Xingyun raised his eyebrows and said, I'm sorry, Zhao Huan has been killed. Not only Zhao Huan, but even Bai Shield has been killed. As he spoke, Master Xingyun looked back at Ningyu. Bang! Ningyu understood and tossed the white shield out of his storage ring. It landed heavily at the feet of the big tyrant. Bai Shield. Seeing the martial artist under its feet, the giant tyrant was slightly stunned. It was a little confused. To be honest, the giant tyrant didn't know Bai Shield. It didn't even take the initiative to contact Bai Shield. Those who contacted it could only be martial artists from 100 Flower City. Even Bai Shield wasn't qualified, and Zhao Huan happened to be a martial artist from 100 Flower City. It seems that you don't know Bai Shield. Master Xingyun exerted force with his right hand, and a huge suction force sucked Bai Shield back and threw it to Ningyu's side. Ningyu controlled Bai Shield and threw it back into the storage ring again. Since you don't know Bai Shield, there's no need to keep you here, Master Xingyun said. The reason why Master Xingyun asked Ningyu to throw Bai Shield out was because he wanted to test it. In Bai Shield's memory, there was no mention of the thing inside the vortex. To prevent Bai Shield's memory from being erased, Master Xingyun chose to throw Bai Shield out to test it. Now it seemed that the giant tyrant didn't know Bai Shield, or rather, Bai Shield wasn't qualified to get close to the deepest secret. Let's go. Seeing that Master Xingyun was distracted, the giant tyrant's eyes burst out a cold light. The wings on its back suddenly flapped, and its figure turned into an afterimage as it flew towards the depths of the vortex. Because it wasn't affected by the pressure in the vortex, the giant tyrant's speed was very fast. It was so fast that even Master Xingyun, who was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, couldn't catch up. Should we chase after it? Seeing the giant tyrant leaving, Master Xingyun slightly knitted his brows and turned to Ningyu. According to Bai Shield's memory, as long as we can reach the depths of the vortex, we'll be able to find the treasure. The direction that the giant tyrant escaped in is different from the depths of the vortex. Different directions? Master Xingyun's words made Ningyu a little dumbfounded. The giant tyrant was clearly heading towards the depths of the vortex, so why would Master Xingyun say that? Could it be that Master Xingyun was lost? After thinking about it, Ningyu felt that there was only one possibility. Let's chase after the giant tyrant. Ningyu did not explain too much to Grandmaster Xingyun. He pointed at the direction where the giant tyrant escaped and said in a deep voice, "We're unfamiliar with this whirlpool. If we let the giant tyrant leave, it's very likely that it'll bring more demonic beasts here. At that time, we'll be trapped in a forbidden land beyond redemption." Alright. Master Xingyun didn't think too much about it. He agreed with Ningyu's words. Then, he grabbed Ningyu and chased after the giant tyrant. No matter what, the strength of Master Xingyun's soul energy had reached the level of liquid into core. Under the resistance of his soul energy, Ningyu felt that the pressure around him was gradually decreasing. What's going on? This change was clearly out of Ningyu's expectation. Master Xingyun's soul energy was already so strong, so it didn't make sense for him to feel that the pressure was decreasing. It's the pressure outside that's decreasing. Master Xingyun's expression was extremely grave. Although the pressure had decreased, Master Xingyun's heart was getting more and more worried. There were only two possibilities for the sudden decrease in pressure. First, they had accidentally broken into the depths of the vortex. Second, they had broken into the trap set by the giant tyrant. If it was the first possibility, it would be fine. After all, there was a chance to obtain the treasure. Chapter 1456. Swoosh. Swoosh. The situation seemed to be developing in a bad direction. Just as Grandmaster Xing Yun was in a daze, the space around him suddenly split open. Suddenly, a few huge figures appeared. Obviously, the several giant creatures that suddenly appeared were not ordinary demonic beasts. They were the giant tyrant beasts. The cultivation of those giant tyrants was not very high. All of them were fourth-grade Earth sovereigns. The big Tyrannosaurus at the front was the big Tyrannosaurus that had just fought with Master Xingyun. Ha ha ha! Seeing that Ning Yu and Grandmaster Xingyun had been tricked, the giant Tyrannosaurus at the front raised its head and laughed maniacally. It said sinisterly, "This is our territory. If you dare to barge in, you will die." That giant tyrant was very arrogant. Although Master Xingyun was an 8th-grade Earth sovereign, they had a lot of demonic beasts. 1 or 2 of them might not be a match for you, but what about 3? What about 4? What about dozens of them? Of course, under normal circumstances, even dozens of 4th-grade Earth sovereigns would not be a match for an 8th-grade Earth sovereign. But the situation here was very special. They could control the pressure in this space at will. Ning Yu, take a few steps back. Let me deal with these giant tyrants. Master Xing Yun's expression was solemn. He pushed Ning Yu away and faced the giant tyrants alone. Rumble! The battle broke out in an instant. At first, Master Nebula had an overwhelming advantage and even killed 2 giant tyrants. But as time passed, Master Xing Yun found that the pressure around him was getting stronger and stronger. It was so strong that even he was affected. Under this terrifying pressure, he could only display 80% of his strength at his peak. And the most terrifying thing was that the pressure was getting stronger and stronger. At this rate, it would only take half an hour at most for him to only be able to display 10% of his peak strength. Therefore, Master Xing Yun did not have much time left. I have to kill them all in half an hour. Master Xing Yun secretly made up his mind. No matter what, he would use all his strength to kill all the giant tyrants in half an hour. Whoosh! Grandmaster Xing Yun was not the kind of person who only talked and did not practice. With a thought, he released all the soul power in his body. The most powerful thing about Grandmaster Xing Yun was not his martial arts strength, but his terrifying soul power. Roar! As a matter of fact, Master Xing Yun's soul power was indeed terrifying. After he released his soul power, the great tyrant was at a complete disadvantage. Ning Yu, the heaven-devouring scepter is right behind these giant tyrants. Ning Yu could not help Grandmaster Xing Yun fight against the giant Tyrannosaurus alone. At this moment, he was communicating with the Dark Sovereign in his storage ring. The Dark Emperor's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "After Grandmaster Xing Yun completely kills the big tyrant, we will suddenly rush out and snatch the heaven-devouring scepter." Dark Emperor didn't trust Master Xing Yun. He treated Master Xing Yun as an enemy. Suddenly rush out? Ning Yu said snappily, "If it weren't for the help of the sapling and the law of space, as well as the soul power that Master Nebula left around me, we wouldn't even be qualified to stand here." The Dark Emperor felt a little awkward. He was indeed a little anxious. After all, the heaven-devouring scepter was one of the top 3 treasures of the sky-devouring Hound clan, and he did not want anyone else to obtain it. Let's wait a little longer, the situation isn't that simple. Ning Yu shook his head and continued, "If I've guessed correctly, these giant tyrants will definitely be killed by Grandmaster Xing Yun, and after they die, more demonic beasts will appear." Actually, Ning Yu's guess wasn't wrong. The heaven-devouring scepter was a treasure amongst treasures, so there was no reason for it to only be guarded by a few 4th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm demonic beasts. It wouldn't be an exaggeration even if there were heavenly sovereigns guarding such a heaven-defying treasure. Crack! What he wanted came true. Just when Ning Yu had this thought in his heart, there was a drastic change in the battlefield not too far away. Grandmaster Xing Yun rapidly retreated with a grave expression on his face. Suddenly, an even larger giant Tyrannosaurus appeared in the midst of the giant Tyrannosaurus. This giant Tyrannosaurus that was several times bigger opened its mouth and devoured the other giant Tyrannosaurus. Crack! Crack! The sound of bones shattering resounded from the giant Tyrannosaurus' mouth, looking extremely eerie. Humans, you guys have great courage to come here. Not bad, not bad. Casually spitting out the bones, the giant Tyrannosaurus faintly said, I'm about to leave this space, and I'm lacking 2 guides. You guys can be my slaves. Be careful. Grandmaster Xingyun and Ning Yu did not reply to the giant Tyrannosaurus. It was so much so that they even looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Grandmaster Xingyun said in a low voice, Enter the pagoda of Yuzuan later and hand the control over the pagoda to me. I'll deal with this giant Tyrannosaurus. How confident are you? Ning Yu asked. 50%. Grandmaster Xingyun replied. The giant Tyrannosaurus cultivation was at the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, which was extremely terrifying. Facing it head-on and under the terrifying pressure, Grandmaster Xingyun only had a 30% chance of winning. He could only achieve 50% by controlling the pagoda of Yuzuan. You guys don't seem to want to be my slaves. Letting out a sigh, the giant Tyrannosaurus opened its mouth and a massive scepter appeared. Sky-devouring scepter. The moment he saw the scepter, Ning Yu realized that the scepter that the big tyrant spat out was the heaven-devouring scepter. Oh, you're pretty knowledgeable. It's a pity that there's no prize. Holding onto the sky-devouring scepter, the giant Tyrannosaurus continued, You guys have 2 choices now. Submit to me and tell me about the outside world, or die. Make your choice. Ning Yu, find a way to get close to the giant Tyrannosaurus. I have a way to snatch the sky-devouring scepter. The Dark Emperor's solemn voice resounded in Ning Yu's ears. Hearing that, Ning Yu was briefly stunned. Are you sure? I'm sure. The sky-devouring scepter is the treasure of the sky-devouring hound clan, and I'm the emperor of the sky-devouring hound clan. I'm 90% confident that I can snatch it. The Dark Emperor said. All right, I believe you. At this moment, Ning Yu and the rest had no other choice. If the giant Tyrannosaurus didn't have the sky-devouring scepter, Grandmaster Xingyun still had a 50% chance of winning with the pagoda of Yuzuan. However, the giant Tyrannosaurus had the sky-devouring scepter. Even if Grandmaster Xingyun controlled the pagoda of Yuzuan, he wouldn't even have a 10% chance of winning. Rather than risking a 10% chance of winning, it was better to let the Dark Emperor give it a try. After all, the Dark Emperor was the emperor of the sky-devouring hound clan, so he had a 90% chance of snatching the sky-devouring scepter. We choose to submit to you. Chapter 1457. 3 minutes. Year 20 of the Heavenly Demon Calendar? The giant tyrant frowned slightly when it heard Ning Yu's words. No one knew what it was thinking. Since the giant tyrant did not speak, Ning Yu stopped moving forward and stood on the spot. For a moment the place fell silent. Drip, drip. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Roar. The giant tyrant suddenly raised its head and roared. It then pointed at Ning Yu and said, Come here and open your mind. I'm going to inspect your memories. Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. He knew things were not going well. Given the giant tyrant's strength, he would definitely be controlled if he opened his mind. However, the current situation did not allow Ning Yu to overthink. He could either take a gamble or escape immediately. Without thinking too much, Ning Yu moved his feet and walked toward the giant tyrant again. 3 more steps. As Ning Yu moved forward, the Dark Emperor in the storage ring said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. Thud. Thud. Every step that Ning Yu took landed heavily on the ground, producing a loud thud. 2 steps. The Dark Emperor silently counted every step that Ning Yu took. 1 step. When Ning Yu's final stomp landed, a terrifying light burst forth from the Dark Emperor's eyes. He abruptly sprang out from his storage ring and charged toward the giant tyrant at an extremely terrifying speed. Ningyu, back off! The Dark Emperor transmitted his voice to Ningyu as he charged toward the giant tyrant. Let's go! Ningyu was not an indecisive person. With a flash, he retreated backward. However, Ningyu was cautious and did not retreat too far. This distance was just enough for him to receive the Dark Emperor. Although the Dark Emperor had a 90% chance of seizing the heaven-devouring scepter, who could guarantee that the last 10% wouldn't fail? Therefore, Ningyu did not retreat too far. At this distance, he could open the Tower of Ascension and bring the Dark Emperor back. Purple gold sky devouring hound. Looking at the approaching Dark Emperor, the giant tyrant's expression turned grave. After all, the heaven-devouring scepter was the ultimate treasure of the heaven-devouring hound clan. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration for the giant tyrant to recognize the Dark Emperor as a heaven-devouring hound. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was fine if the Dark Emperor did not make a move, but the moment he did, he used his trump card. He forced out 3 drops of blood essence and charged toward the giant tyrant from 3 different directions. Go! After the 3 drops of blood essence flew out, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and spat out another fist-sized cold light. I can't believe it! The Dark Emperor's actions caused Ningyu to curse. The cold gleam that was the size of a fist was not an offensive technique, but the Dark Emperor's blood essence. How much blood essence did the Dark Emperor have in total? In order to control the heaven-devouring scepter, he had forced out so much blood essence. It could be said that the Dark Emperor had put himself in a desperate situation to survive. It was either succeed or die trying. Child's play. Clearly, the giant tyrant did not realize that the cold gleam was the Dark Emperor's blood essence. Holding the heaven-devouring scepter, he said proudly, I would like to see how capable you are to fight me. Using the heaven-devouring scepter to kill the heaven-devouring hound. Just thinking about it makes me excited. After laughing sinisterly, the giant tyrant threw the heaven-devouring hound out. Its target was the fist-sized blood essence of the Dark Emperor. Almost instantly, the heaven-devouring scepter came into contact with the Dark Emperor's blood essence. When the two collided, what the giant tyrant expected did not happen. Chi, 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 chi. The Dark Emperor's blood essence wrapped around the heaven-devouring scepter and drilled into it desperately. Oh no! The sudden change was obviously out of the giant tyrant's expectation. In the next moment, the giant tyrant quickly communicated with the heaven-devouring scepter, wanting to retrieve it. It's too late to react now. The corner of the Dark Emperor's lips rose as he swung his tail towards the giant tyrant. The Dark Emperor was excited. As long as he could hold on for a few more minutes, he would be able to gain control of the heaven-devouring scepter. Thus, the Dark Emperor yelled out as he attacked the giant tyrant. Ningyu, Master Xingyun, come out quickly. No matter what, you have to stop the giant tyrant for 3 minutes. Don't let it get close to the heaven-devouring scepter. The Dark Emperor's words caused the faces of Ningyu and Master Xingyun to drastically change. After exchanging a look, Ningyu and Master Xingyun immediately charged out. Master Xingyun fought the giant tyrant head-on, while Ningyu waited for an opportunity from the side. After all, the giant tyrant was a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. Without absolute confidence, Ningyu did not want to take the risk. Rumble. The Dark Emperor wasn't a match for the giant tyrant. It was so much so that the giant tyrant could kill him with a flip of its hand. However, Master Xingyun was different. He was an 8th-grade Earth Sovereign with a powerful soul core. With the addition of Master Xingyun, the pressure on the Dark Emperor instantly disappeared. Thanks. After cupping his fists towards Master Xingyun, the Dark Emperor flew towards the heaven-devouring scepter. The heaven-devouring scepter was hard to control. If he only relied on the Dark Emperor's blood essence, he would probably need 3 minutes to fully control it. Judging from Master Xingyun's situation, it was unknown if he could even last 3 minutes. Thus, the Dark Emperor had to find another opportunity to execute the secret technique of the Sky-Devouring Dog Clan to control the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. Reality had proven that Master Xingyun wasn't a match for the giant tyrant. In just a minute, Master Xingyun was already spewing blood from his mouth with his face turning pale. "I've changed my mind. I don't want you to be my slave, I want to devour you alive." The giant tyrant fixed its gaze on Master Xingyun as it continued, "I can sense that as long as I devour you alive, there's a high chance that I will reach the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm. If you're sensible, then stay where you are. Otherwise, I'll let you die a horrible death." As it spoke, the giant tyrant moved towards Master Xingyun. Crack, crack. In the process of advancing, the giant Tyrannosaurus concentrated all the pressure in this area on Master Xingyun. The massive pressure caused Master Xingyun's knees to creak, and he couldn't help falling to his knees. 1 minute left. Master Xingyun was calculating the time. There was only 1 minute left from the 3 minutes that the Dark Emperor had mentioned. As long as the Dark Emperor could control the Heaven-Devouring Scepter, he would immediately get Ningyu to open the Ascension Pagoda and take refuge. Since this was the core of the Peerless Killing Array, it wouldn't matter even if the giant tyrant took the Ascension Pagoda away. When he recovered to his peak state, he would be able to appear from the Ascension Pagoda and deal a fatal blow to the giant tyrant. Success! Suddenly, the Dark Emperor yelled from afar. Although he said that he needed 3 minutes, that wasn't the case. The Dark Emperor executed a secret technique to gain control of the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in 2 minutes. Chapter 1458. Chapter 1458. Beast Core, how is this possible? The giant Tyrannosaurus would never have thought that the black dog would seize control of the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in just 2 minutes. One must know that he had left a mark on the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. That black dog was only a human sovereign? The colossal tyrant had the urge to vomit blood. A human sovereign actually erased the mark he left in the devouring scepter. If someone said this to him previously, he would probably call that person a fool. But this kind of thing really happened. What was terrifying was that the devouring scepter no longer belonged to him. Phew! Seeing that the Dark Emperor had taken control of the devouring scepter, Master Xingyun let out a long sigh of relief. The reason why Master Xingyun had such an expression was because the immense pressure around him had disappeared in an instant. The disappearance of the pressure meant that Master Xingyun's fighting strength had returned to its peak. In other words, Master Xingyun was fearless against the colossal tyrant again and could easily win. After all, the colossal tyrant was only a 9th-grade Earth Supreme, not a half-heaven Supreme. Nothing is impossible. The Dark Emperor wrapped the devouring scepter with his tail and walked towards the colossal tyrant. A moment later, the Dark Emperor arrived before the colossal tyrant. You have 2 choices. The Dark Emperor didn't beat around the bush at all. He went straight to the point and said, "First, become my slave. Second, die." Roar. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, the great tyrant raised its head and roared furiously. The colossal tyrant wanted to devour the Dark Emperor, but it had a lingering fear. To control the devouring scepter, it had forcefully extracted its beast core from its body and inserted it into the devouring scepter. Now that the devouring scepter was in the Dark Emperor's hands, its strength would instantly fall to rock bottom if the Dark Emperor destroyed its beast core. At that time, it might even die without a burial. What? Do you want to die? The Dark Emperor raised his brows. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. No, no. The giant tyrant hurriedly said, I'm willing to become your slave and listen to your orders. Are you sure? The Dark Emperor was uncertain. No matter what, the giant tyrant was a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign, and a peak 9th-grade Earth Sovereign at that. In the Dark Emperor's opinion, if he wanted to control the big tyrant, he would definitely have to go through a lot of trouble. Who would have thought that the giant tyrant would be so spineless? Yes. The giant tyrant nodded hurriedly, fearing that the Dark Emperor would go back on his words. All right, then relax your mind. Although the Dark Emperor didn't really trust the colossal tyrant, he had to give it a chance since the colossal tyrant had put it this way. Bang! The giant tyrant suddenly sat upright on the ground and slowly relaxed its mind. Grandmaster Xingyun, be careful later. If the giant tyrant dares to do anything out of line, kill it immediately. Like the Dark Emperor, Ningyu did not trust the great tyrant either. Therefore, Ningyu secretly contacted Master Xingyun and asked him to monitor the giant tyrant. In its current state, the great Tyrannosaurus was no match for Master Nebula. Now, as expected, the colossal tyrant did not have any good intentions. Just as the Dark Emperor approached it, it suddenly opened its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow the Dark Emperor into its stomach. The colossal tyrant's idea was very simple. The heaven-devouring scepter contained its beast core, and the heaven-devouring scepter was in the hands of the Dark Emperor. As long as it swallowed the Dark Emperor and the heaven-devouring scepter together, not only would the beast core be safe, it would also be able to regain control of the heaven-devouring scepter. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Just as the colossal tyrant opened its bloody mouth, the Dark Emperor turned into an afterimage and disappeared. The Dark Emperor disappeared, but Grandmaster Xingyun appeared in front of the colossal tyrant. Bang bang bang! Not long ago, Grandmaster Xingyun was attacked by the colossal tyrant to the point that he could not retaliate at all. Now, Grandmaster Xingyun finally had a chance to be arrogant. His right hand started to work, and he threw out a few punches, each punch landing on the colossal tyrant's head. Although the colossal tyrant's head was very big, under the terrifying bombardment of Grandmaster Xingyun's punches, it still continuously spat out blood. Not long after, the colossal tyrant's head expanded again. Die! Roughly a few minutes later, Grandmaster Xingyun clenched his right fist and threw it towards the colossal tyrant's heart, along with a violent gale. Plop! Grandmaster Xingyun did not hold back in this punch. The outcome was predictable. Under Grandmaster Xingyun's terrifying attack, the colossal tyrant's heart was pierced and it fell backwards. Only at the last moment before its death did the colossal tyrant wake up. If it wasn't for its arrogance and bringing out the heaven-devouring scepter, Ningyu and the rest would be the ones dying. But it was useless now. The colossal tyrant's eyes rolled over and it died on the spot. After killing the colossal tyrant, Grandmaster Xingyun took a deep breath and the grave expression on his face slightly eased up. The colossal tyrant was a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign, and the reason why he could kill it so easily was because of the Dark Emperor. Ningyu, the colossal tyrant, is a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign, and there's a terrifying energy in its body. Do you want to? Grandmaster Xingyun looked at Ningyu and said. Whoosh! Halfway through Grandmaster Xingyun's words, the Dark Emperor's heaven-devouring scepter flew out and landed before the colossal tyrant. Sizzle! Sizzle! A terrifying devouring energy gushed out from the heaven-devouring scepter. Practically in an instant, the colossal tyrant that was a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign was only left with a layer of skin. This sudden change left Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun speechless. The heaven-devouring scepter was truly terrifying to be able to devour even a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign so quickly. Dark Emperor, I can give you the heaven-devouring scepter, but you can't possibly leave nothing for us, right? Ningyu stared at the Dark Emperor as he sourly said. Don't be anxious, I can give you the beast core of the colossal tyrant. The Dark Emperor was a little awkward as he flipped the heaven-devouring scepter and took out a beast core and threw it towards Ningyu. Boom! Catching the beast core, Ningyu was speechless. This is the beast core of the colossal tyrant? Why is there only less than 5% of the energy in it? Ningyu waved the beast core in his hand and said, "If it wasn't for our help, how could you obtain the heaven-devouring scepter? Aren't you being a little insincere by doing this?" "Who are we? How is this insincere?" The Dark Emperor started to play dumb. "I will be going into seclusion. Unless it's a life-and-death situation, don't contact me." As he spoke, the Dark Emperor brought the heaven-devouring scepter and his silhouette flashed, entering the interspatial ring. After entering the interspatial ring, a voice resounded in Ningyu's ears. Chapter 1459. Chapter 1459. Chapter 1459. 9th grade human sovereign, you want to fight 10 alone? I'll beat you until you don't know where you're going. Ningyu's mind sank into the spatial ring, wanting to teach the Dark Emperor a lesson on the spot. Don't. No matter how strong I am, I won't hit you. Our relationship is very strong. I'll hit anyone but you. The Dark Emperor anxiously begged for mercy. Although the Dark Emperor had the heaven-devouring scepter and the heaven-devouring scepter had devoured the big tyrant, the Dark Emperor had almost no chance of winning against Ningyu. Firstly, the heaven-devouring scepter had absorbed too much energy and was currently digesting it, so it could not unleash much of its power. He himself had also secretly devoured a lot of energy and urgently needed time to recuperate, so he could not fight with Ningyu. How long will your closed-door cultivation take? Ningyu did not really want to fight the Dark Emperor, so he asked. It's hard to say. At least 10 days to half a month, and at most 1 to 3 months. The Dark Emperor shook his head and said, "To tell you the truth, when I come out of seclusion, my cultivation will at least be at the Earth Supreme stage. You'd better raise your cultivation to the Earth Supreme stage. Don't let me advance to the Earth Supreme stage while you're still at the Mortal Sovereign stage." Ningyu did not want to waste words with the Dark Emperor here, so he directly exited the spatial ring. I carefully observed this place just now and discovered that after the death of the big tyrant, this place has returned to normal. Seeing Ningyu appear, Master Xingyun said in a deep voice, "Let's leave now or stay here." "Wait a little longer, I want to devour the beast core of the big tyrant." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Although the beast core of the big tyrant only has less than half of its energy left, it is still very useful to me." "All right, I'll protect you." Master Xingyun nodded, then took a few steps back and looked around vigilantly. Although this place was already very safe after the death of the big tyrant, it was always good to be careful. With Master Xingyun protecting him, Ningyu did not have any worries. He directly sat cross-legged on the ground and directly threw the beast core of the big tyrant into his mouth. Gotcha! The beast core shattered, and a terrifying energy surged into Ningyu's consciousness. Although the beast core of the giant tyrant only had less than 5% of its energy left, this amount of energy was enough to make Ningyu feel a little overwhelmed. Spirit Transformation Art. With a thought, Ningyu hurriedly activated the spirit transformation technique and began to cultivate. Under the guidance of the spirit transformation art, the energy within the beast core was quickly refined in Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Too slow. Ningyu frowned slightly. At this rate, he estimated that it would take him a few days to completely absorb the energy in the beast core. Suppress him. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu gathered all of his peak 8th grade soul force in his sea of consciousness and controlled the energy inside the beast core. After that, Ningyu made a series of hand seals and recalled the cultivation methods of the 7th and 8th stages of the spirit transformation method in his mind. This time, Ningyu wanted to directly cultivate the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage. For the current Ningyu, the 6th stage of the spirit transformation method was no longer enough to support him to quickly recover his vitality. Only by cultivating the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage could he maintain that rapid recovery speed. Chi. Although he had cultivated the 7th and 8th stages of the spirit transformation method in his previous life, Ningyu still felt the pressure when cultivating again in this life. Only when there was pressure would there be motivation. Ningyu was not discouraged. He closed his eyes slightly and began to wholeheartedly immerse himself in cultivating the spirit transformation method. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. After half an hour of all-out cultivation, Ningyu finally cultivated the spirit transformation method to the 7th stage. Again, Ningyu was not satisfied with the 7th stage of the spirit transformation method. He closed his eyes slightly and began to cultivate again. Another half an hour passed. Cultivating the 7th stage of the spirit transformation method required half an hour. Half an hour was not enough for the 8th stage. Ningyu continued to cultivate. It was not until an hour had passed that Ningyu let out a long breath. There was a hint of excitement between his brows. 1.5 hours to cultivate the spirit transformation method from the 7th stage to the 8th stage. Even in his previous life, he could not compare to this speed. Devour. After cultivating the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage, Ningyu immediately activated the spirit transformation method and began to devour and refine the energy in his consciousness. As he continued to devour, the energy in Ningyu's consciousness was decreasing at a visible rate. At this rate, Ningyu would be able to devour all the energy in 3 to 4 hours at most. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Bang! After an hour of devouring and refining, a dull sound suddenly came from Ningyu's consciousness. A late-stage 8th stage human supreme. In an hour, his cultivation had advanced from a mid-stage 8th stage human supreme to a late-stage 8th stage human supreme. It would not be an exaggeration to describe this speed as terrifying. He actually advanced to a late-stage 8th stage human supreme. Feeling the aura emitted from Ningyu, Master Xingyun frowned slightly. He was a little shocked. He had founded the Nebula Academy for many years and had seen many geniuses. However, he had never met a peerless genius like Ningyu. There is still a lot of energy in the giant tyrant's beast core. If Ningyu completely devours it, I wonder what level his cultivation will reach. Master Xingyun observed the changes around him while staring at Ningyu. He wanted to see what level Ningyu could reach. Bang! Another half an hour passed. Another dull sound came from Ningyu's consciousness. A peak 8th stage human supreme. Bang! Another half an hour passed. A dull sound came from Ningyu's consciousness for the 3rd time. Different from the previous 3 times, the dull sound this time was loud. A 9th stage human supreme. Ningyu advanced from a peak 8th stage human supreme to a 9th stage human supreme. I'm a 9th stage human supreme now. I wonder if I can reach the peak 9th stage human supreme. Master Xingyun's expression was extremely solemn. If an ordinary middle phase 8th grade sovereign were to obtain the beast core of the great tyrant beast, they would probably be able to reach the pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm. However, Ningyu was a freak, so Master Xingyun was not sure if Ningyu could advance to a 9th stage human supreme. But Ningyu was a freak, so Master Xingyun was not sure if Ningyu could advance to a 9th stage human supreme. Whoosh! After advancing to a 9th stage human supreme, Ningyu let out a long breath and slowly opened his eyes. Sensing the changes in his sea of consciousness, Ningyu showed some excitement between his brows. The giant tyrant was really a timely help. If not for its beast core, Ningyu would not have been able to advance to a 9th stage human supreme in such a short time. Yang Pom. Although he had advanced to a 9th stage human supreme, Ningyu was not very satisfied with his strength. With his current strength, he could easily kill a 2nd stage Earth Supreme, but he could only contend with a 3rd stage Earth Supreme. If he encountered a powerful 3rd stage Earth Supreme, he could only regret it. Therefore, Ningyu was not in a hurry to leave. He wanted to practice the netherworld samsara palm. Yin Yang Palm was the 10th move of the netherworld samsara palm. It was extremely powerful. Chapter 1460. Yin Yang Palm. Yin Yang Palm. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. He briefly recalled the cultivation method of the Yin Yang Palm in his mind. Then, he waved his hands repeatedly and began to cultivate. Yin in the left hand, Yang in the right. The power of Yin Yang Palm was, in a sense, countless times stronger than Universe Palm. The reason why Ningyu didn't use the Universe Palm during this period of time was that the power of the Universe Palm was too weak to deal with his current opponent. But Yin Yang Palm was different. Yin Yang Palm was the 10th palm of Netherworld Samsara Palm, and its power was several times greater than the previous 9 palms. If Ningyu could successfully cultivate it, it wouldn't be a problem for his strength to double. Pucci. While Ningyu was fully focused on cultivating Yin Yang Palm, outside the stone room where the killing formation was, the palace master suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, her face extremely pale. "Palace master, are you all right?" Fairy Yun, she hurriedly asked when she saw the palace master's condition. "That mysterious expert from 100 Flowers Palace has started to attack my body. I need to use the soul attraction technique as soon as possible." Wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth, the palace master said solemnly, "Think of a way to contact Ningyu and get them to break the killing formation as soon as possible. No, this stone door is very special. My soul power can't penetrate it." Fairy Yun, she shook her head, her expression extremely grave. "Use brute force to break it open," the palace master said coldly, displaying the viciousness of a palace master. Fairy Yun, she nodded, then clenched her right hand into a fist and punched the stone door. Bang! A terrifying force spread out with the stone door as the center. But very quickly, this force was absorbed by the stone door and turned into nothingness. 100 Flower Fan. Fairy Yun, she seemed to have expected this result. She flicked her wrist, and the 100 Flower Fan appeared in her hand. Swish! 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 She fanned the 100 Flower Fan repeatedly, and several gusts of yuan qi swept out, abruptly blasting at the stone door. Bang! Bang! What happened next caused Fairy Yun, she and the palatial mistress' hearts to sink to rock bottom. Several gusts of yuan qi slammed into the stone door. However, the result was not satisfactory. After the origin qi blasted against the stone door, it did not last long before it was absorbed by the stone door and turned into nothingness. Pucci. Such a situation caused the palace master to spit out another mouthful of scarlet-red blood, and her countenance grew even paler. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace gritted her teeth and said, "I don't care anymore. Go out and preside over the situation. No matter what, you have to buy me 3 days. I know that this is very unfair to you, but whether the Flower Palace can be taken back completely depends on." At first, the palatial lord was filled with grief and indignation. She even believed that Fairy Yun, she would definitely die. But soon, she discovered some clues. Rumble! A terrifying voice came from behind the stone door. Gotcha! Then, the stone door shattered, and 2 figures dashed out from within. Ningyu, Master Xingyun? Both the palace mistress and Fairy Yun, she revealed surprised expressions when they saw the 2 figures that had appeared abruptly. They'd thought that Master Xingyun and Ningyu had been trapped inside, but who would have imagined that they would actually come out at such a critical moment? Most importantly, they'd even activated the core of the formation and activated the Peerless Slaughter formation. So long as the Peerless Slaughter formation was activated, then with the current resources of Giant Shield City, it would be able to easily last for 3 days. Palace Mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace, that's an entirely different matter. I spent a few 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals to activate the Peerless Slaughter formation. Once you reclaim the Flower Palace, I want 4 treasures within the treasure vault, and it'll cost a few 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Ningyu went straight to the point and didn't waste his breath. No problem. The palace mistress nodded and said, I'll start executing soul attraction right now. Is there anything I should pay attention to? After all, it was Ningyu who taught her soul attraction, so it wasn't wrong to ask Ningyu's opinion before executing it. There's one thing I need to pay attention to. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said, after you succeed, you must kill your way into the Flower Palace within 3 days and snatch your main body. Otherwise, I'm afraid that mysterious expert will harm you. I know that, the palace mistress said. If there's nothing else, let's go out first. You can execute soul attraction here. After saying that, Ningyu and Master Xingyun walked out together. Seeing Ningyu's departing figure, the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace was a little dumbfounded. You really believe me? After all, I've never executed the soul attraction technique. What if something goes wrong? What should I do? However, Ningyu and Master Xingyun had already left, so it wasn't convenient for the palace mistress to ask too many questions. Fairy Yunxi, go out and take charge of the situation. Also, seal this place for me. Unless Ningyu comes, no one else can enter. The palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace shook her head, then sat down cross-legged and said in a deep voice, once the peerless killing formation is activated, unless a supreme expert appears, there's no way to open it within 3 days. You must tightly shut the city gate. You must not open it no matter what. Understood. Fairy Yunxi nodded, then bid farewell to the palace mistress and left with the 100 Flowers fan. Soul attraction, I hope it works. After Fairy Yunxi and the others left, the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace sighed and murmured, success or failure depends on this. If I don't become a king, I'll become a bandit. Swoosh, swoosh. Ningyu didn't know what the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace was thinking, nor did he want to know. After leaving the formation core, Ningyu rushed to the Giant Shield Pavilion without stopping. Giant Shield Pavilion. At this moment, in the main hall of the Giant Shield Pavilion, 8 to 9 warriors were sitting in 2 rows. Senior Quangzhan, are you sure that Ningyu is fine? Lu Wei suddenly stood up from her chair and asked. Hearing Lu Wei's words, Quangzhan rolled his eyes and said, this is already the 700th time you've asked this in an hour. On average, it's every 4 to 5 seconds. Can't you be a little more at ease? I can't be at ease. Even now, we still don't know whether Ningyu is dead or alive. How can I be at ease? Lu Wei said, Bai Dun and Bai Qi aren't good people. If Ningyu leaves with them, he'll definitely be in danger. There will definitely be danger, but it won't be life-threatening. Quangzhan shook his head. Outside the Giant Shield City, it was because of Ningyu's help that Fairy Yunxi and Taoist Master GMO had a way to trap Toy. Now that it was said that the 100 Flowers City had sent an army to attack, there was no reason for her not to protect Ningyu at such a dangerous time. No, I still have to think of a way to see Ningyu. After thinking about it, Lu Wei said in a deep voice, Bai Qi is someone who can do anything. If Ningyu falls into his hands, even if he doesn't die, he'll be tortured badly. What? You want to torture me? Chapter 1461. Mysterious Aura, Ningyu? Hearing the voice coming from outside the Giant Shield Pavilion, Lu Wei was stunned at first, then she hurriedly turned her head. Looking at the thin figure at the entrance of the Giant Shield Pavilion, Lu Wei's face was filled with joy. That thin figure was none other than Ningyu. This time, Master Xingyun was not with Ningyu. He and Fairy Yunxi had gone to the tower of the Giant Shield City to confront the experts from the 100 Flowers City. Since the Peerless Killing Formation had been opened, the experts from the 100 Flowers City would not be able to attack in a short period of time, so Ningyu came to the Giant Shield Pavilion to look for Lu Wei and the rest. Genuine goods at fair prices. I guarantee you that it's genuine. Ningyu walked into the giant shield pavilion and casually found a chair to sit on. Are you guys having a meeting? What meeting? If you didn't come, Lu Wei would have rushed over to save you. Wild Warrior laughed bitterly. Before Ningyu entered the forbidden grounds, he had instructed Wild Warrior to ensure the safety of Lu Wei and the rest. Now that Ningyu had returned, Wild Warrior's tense nerves had finally relaxed a little. As long as Ningyu appeared, the situation would improve. At the very least, he could let Lu Wei and the rest enter the Tower of You to take refuge. Why save me? Do I look like I'm going to get into trouble? Ningyu smiled and said to Lu Wei, Don't worry about my safety, the person who can kill me in this world has yet to appear. Stop being so smug. Lu Wei rolled her eyes at Ningyu and said, With the current strength of the giant shield city, it is almost impossible to fight head-on with the 100 Flowers city. Should we continue to stay in the giant shield city, or should we think of a way to leave? Of course we should stay in the giant shield city. Ningyu laughed bitterly. Why? Lu Wei was confused. The Sword of Evil, Mad Warrior, and the others were also confused. Given the current situation, everyone knew that they shouldn't stay in Giant Shield City. Because the army of 100 Flowers City has returned. They have already surrounded Giant Shield City. Even a fly can't leave Giant Shield City, let alone us, Ningyu explained. After some thought, Ningyu added, From now on, you can move about freely in the City Lord's mansion. No one will do anything to you. Let's not. Bai Dun is a 9th grade Earth Sovereign. With him in the City Lord's mansion, it's better for us to keep a low profile. Lu Wei said solemnly. In Lu Wei's view, only Berserker was a 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and he wasn't as powerful as Bai Shield. If White Shield were to forcefully attack them, they would have to bear the consequences. After all, White Shield was the City Lord of Giant Shield City. He was extremely powerful. Bai Dun is dead, and Bai Chi isn't dead. Aside from Bai Chi, everyone close to Bai Dun in the City Lord's mansion should be dead. Ningyu shrugged. After leaving the Array Corps, Ningyu handed Bai Dun to the Law of Space and the sapling for them to devour. After all, they had helped Ningyu a lot in the vortex. There was no reason for Ningyu to refuse if they wanted Bai Dun to devour them. As for Bai Chi, Ningyu didn't plan to kill him. There was an extremely terrifying energy in Bai Chi's body, and that energy was very useful to Ningyu. If he used it well, it could have unexpected effects. Dead? Hearing Ningyu's words, Lu Wei and the others widened their eyes in disbelief. Bai Dun was a 9th grade Earth Sovereign, the absolute overlord of Giant Shield City. Who could kill him? Could it be Master Xingyun? Lu Wei and the rest might not know, but Quang Zhan knew. With Ningyu's strength, it was impossible for him to kill Bai Dun. If Bai Dun was dead, then there was only one explanation. Master Xingyun had made a move. Ningyu, I wonder if Master Xingyun is. Quang Zhan hesitated. Master Xingyun is on the city wall. You can go look for him now. Ningyu was very generous and did not ask Quang Zhan to stay. Since he was going to watch the battle from the city wall, it didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Thank you. Quang Zhan cupped his fists towards Ningyu before he tore through space and disappeared. Some of you have reached the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, and some have reached the quasi-heavenly Sovereign Realm. These Emperor-grade Yuan crystals are for you. After Quang Zhan left, Ningyu took out an interspatial pouch and threw it to Lu Wei. Activating the Array Core had consumed tens of thousands of Emperor-grade Yuan crystals. In other words, Ningyu only had a total of 10,000 Emperor-grade Yuan crystals on him. But, after receiving the interspatial pouch, Lu Wei did not stand on ceremony with Ningyu. She distributed the Emperor-grade Yuan crystals one by one. Their cultivation had been improving rapidly during this period of time, and they needed some Emperor-grade Yuan crystals to stabilize their cultivation. Ningyu taking out so many Emperor-grade Yuan crystals was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. I'm going to take a look at the city wall. Do you want to come with me? Asked Ningyu when he saw the Sword of Evil and the others receiving the Emperor-grade Yuan crystals. I'm not going. I just reached the Quasi-Earth Sovereign Realm not long ago, and I need to find a way to stabilize my aura. The first to refuse was Sage Spirit Su. Sage Spirit Su was currently a Quasi-Earth Sovereign, and his aura was not very stable. He wanted to use this time to stabilize his aura. I'm staying too. The second to refuse was Dan Guzi. Dan Guzi's soul force was very strong, and he could sense that Giant Shield City had activated the formation. In a short period of time, the experts from Hundred Flowers City would not be able to attack. Staying behind to stabilize his cultivation was the most important thing. I'm not going either. The Sword of Evil also refused. In the end, only Lu Wei wanted to take a look at the city wall. Lu Wei had a violet spirit body. Not only could she advance rapidly, but her ability to stabilize her cultivation was also terrifying. She didn't need to stay behind to stabilize her cultivation. You guys rest here. We'll be leaving first. Ningyu didn't force the issue. He grabbed Lu Wei and rushed toward the city wall. Swish, swish. Ningyu and Lu Wei left the city lord's mansion with incredible speed. In practically an instant they were far away. Not long after leaving the city lord's mansion, Ningyu suddenly stopped. What's going on? Asked Lu Wei. Seeing Ningyu stop, she was puzzled. I sensed an extremely familiar aura. Ningyu frowned, feeling that something was off. This aura was extremely similar to the one he had encountered in the secret realm. Could it be that he's here? Ningyu's expression was grave. The he Ningyu spoke of was Xie Yi of the Pill God clan. Xie Yi cultivated the myriad embodiment transformation grand art. He could turn into millions of spirit. In the secret realm, Ningyu had fought with him and knew how powerful he was. That clone hadn't ranked very high among all of Xie Yi's clones. If Ningyu's avatar had been ranked in the top 50 at that time, it was still unknown whether Ningyu would still be alive now. Haha, you really are extraordinary. I just released a bit of my aura and you sensed it. Chapter 1462. Chapter 1462. Cloud Return Tower, Cloud Return Tower's third floor? Hearing this, a cold expression appeared on Ningyu's face. It was Xie Yi indeed. Xie Yi told him that Lu and I had the purple spirit body and asked him to go to the third floor of the Tower of Clouds. This meant that Xie Yi was confident. Ningyu's face was solemn as he thought of a plan. It was dangerous to bring Lu Wei there. If Xie Yi's clone was ranked in the top 50, it would be extremely powerful. If he didn't bring Lu Wei, Ningyu was afraid that there would be other clones in Giant Shield City. After all, Xie Yi had almost reached the initial success realm in the boundless secret realm and could create 99 clones. If it wasn't for Ningyu killing one of his clones in the empty secret realm, he would have reached the initial success realm in the boundless secret realm. That's right, the third floor of the Cloud Return Tower. See you there. After saying this, Xie Yi's aura disappeared. No matter how hard Ningyu searched, he couldn't find him. Looks like Xie Yi's clone is very close to the front. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said to Lu Wei, "Turn around, we're going to the Cloud Return Tower." This was Giant Shield City anyway. If he was in danger, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun she could come quickly. Plus, Ningyu had already advanced to the 9th grade Human Supreme and mastered the Yin Yang Palm. Even if he met Xie Yi's clone, he could still fight it. Alright. Lu Wei knew that Ningyu must have his reasons for wanting to go to the Cloud Return Tower. So she didn't ask much and followed behind Ningyu, heading towards the Cloud Return Tower. How many? Not long after, Ningyu and Lu Wei stopped in front of the Cloud Return Tower. An Yuan Dan realm servant walked up and said respectfully, "The two of you, bring us to the third floor." Ningyu did not want to waste time. he directly stated his intention. Someone is waiting for us on the third floor. The primordial core realm manservant felt a little awkward. Not long ago, a young man came to the clouds returning in and booked the entire place. That young man only had one request, and that was to not let anyone enter the third level within an hour. Of course, even if he couldn't go to the third floor, he could still go to the other floors. Although this request was very strange, the owner of Cloud's returning pavilion was very happy to make a little more money. As the saying goes, if you take someone's money, you will help them avoid disaster. Since Cloud's returning pavilion had taken the young man's origin crystal, they would naturally act according to his wishes. Sorry, except for the third floor, you can go anywhere, the Yuan Dan realm manservant said. We must go to the third floor, Ningyu said expressionlessly. Please don't make things difficult for me. I'm just a doorkeeper. The Yuan Dan realm manservant was embarrassed. He knew very well that the man and woman before him were both human supremacies. Moreover, they were both high-level human supremacies. He was only a Yuan Dan realm cultivator. If he angered them, he would definitely suffer. How about this? I'll call the owner over? The Yuan Dan realm manservant said carefully. He was afraid of angering Ning Yu and Lu Wei. Sorry for the trouble. Ning Yu was not an unreasonable person. After all, the Cloud's returning pavilion was someone else's trump card. It wouldn't be good to cause trouble here. Russell! Russell! The Yuan Dan realm manservant quickly turned around and entered the Cloud's returning pavilion. Creak! Not long after, a middle-aged man slowly walked out of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Fifth grade Earth Sovereign? Sensing the middle-aged man's aura, Ning Yu's face turned grave. With his current strength, facing a fifth-grade Earth Sovereign would only mean death. If I've guessed correctly, you should be Ning Yu. The middle-aged man first looked at Ning Yu and said, I'm sorry, but the Cloud's returning pavilion has been booked. Please come another day. Sorry. Ning Yu seemed to have changed his mind. He grabbed Lu Wei's hand and left. Seeing Ning Yu leave, the middle-aged man's mouth was slightly opened. He was a little dumbfounded. What's going on? Why isn't Ning Yu playing his cards according to common sense? Shouldn't he first ask how to get to the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion before bargaining? Why did he just turn around and leave without giving any leeway? Please wait. Recalling the words of the man on the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion, the middle-aged man called out to Ning Yu. As long as you can receive 3 moves from me, I will immediately arrange a room for you on the third level. Ning Yu did not even turn his head. What a joke, 3 moves from you. Isn't that nonsense? You're a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, while I'm only an initial phase 9th grade Earth Sovereign. The two of us aren't on the same level. Not to mention 3 moves, I won't even be able to receive 1 move from you. 2 moves! The middle-aged man yelled, trying to change Ning Yu's mind. However, Ning Yu still did not turn around. 1 move! The middle-aged man ruthlessly reduced the 3 moves to 1 move. The young man on the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion had said that if Ning Yu could exchange a move with him, he would give him 50,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Exchanging pointers for 3 moves was worth 150,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Initially, the middle-aged man was determined to obtain 150,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. But now it looked like it would be pretty good if he could obtain 50,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Ning Yu stopped abruptly when he heard the middle-aged man say that he only needed to block 1 move. Turning around, Ning Yu returned to the main entrance of the Cloud's returning pavilion. If you can withstand 1 move from me, I'll let you enter the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Seeing that Ning Yu had returned, the middle-aged man let out a long sigh and said, As for me, I don't want to withstand 1, 2, or 3 moves from you. I just want to know if I can enter the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Ning Yu shrugged. You! Hearing Ning Yu's words, The middle-aged man gnashed his teeth in anger. He was a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, while Ning Yu was only a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. How dare Ning Yu speak to him in such a manner when there was a huge gap between their cultivation? What's wrong? You can't enter? Ning Yu raised his brows and regretfully said, Then I'll be taking my leave. You can enter. The middle-aged man was furious. He gnashed his teeth and said, The 3rd level of the Clouds Returning Pavilion. I'm afraid that you won't be able to return alive. You don't have to worry about that. Ning Yu smiled at the middle-aged man and strode into the Clouds Returning Pavilion. Dong, dong, dong. After entering the Clouds Returning Pavilion, Ning Yu did not stop for long. Instead, he moved towards the 3rd level. Just as the middle-aged man had said, the spacious Clouds Returning Pavilion was empty. Apart from him and Lu Wei, there was no one else. Ning Yu, what are we doing here? I think you've offended the boss of the Clouds Returning Pavilion, and the boss is a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign. Lu Wei was a little worried. After all, the Clouds Returning Pavilion was a powerful force in Giant Shield City. Offending them was destined to be disastrous. It's fine. I'll deal with it when it comes. Ning Yu waved his hand and said, Not to mention that the boss of the Clouds Returning Pavilion is a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, even if he's a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign, I would still dare to enter. Pa pa pa. In an instant, several crisp sounds came from the 3rd level of the Clouds Returning Pavilion. Creak. Chapter 1463. News from the Bloodthirsty Wolves, Xie. Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared, Ning Yu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow. He said indifferently, Speak, why did you send me here? On the surface, Ning Yu looked very calm, but in fact, he was extremely surprised. The cultivation of Xie Yi's clone was at least a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign. This meant that Xie Yi was not much weaker than Bai Qi at his peak. In fact, he might even be stronger. It's nothing important. I just wanted to have a chat with you. Xie Yi shrugged. I'm sorry, but if it's just a chat, I don't think I have the time. As he spoke, Ning Yu turned his head, intending to leave the Cloud Returning Pavilion. Haha, don't be in such a hurry. Don't you want to know where the 2 wolves that left the secret realm are? Seeing that Ning Yu was about to leave, Xie Yi's lips curled. If you leave just like that, I can't guarantee that something will happen. Whoosh. Hearing this, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat. Ever since he left the secret realm, he hadn't seen the 2 wolves. In the past, he thought that they were high-rank Earth Supreme and wouldn't be in danger. Now, it seemed like he was wrong. Very wrong. More accurately, it was the bloodthirsty frenzied wolf and the rest that had fallen into Xie Yi's hands. Where are they? Ning Yu said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. Haha, let's talk inside. Smiling, Xie Yi turned and entered the room. Since Xie Yi had put it this way, Ning Yu couldn't just leave. After all, the 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves had helped him many times in the empty realm. Now that they were in trouble, Ning Yu had to save them no matter what. Be careful. Ning Yu grabbed Lu Wei's arm and walked towards the 3rd floor. Not long later, Ning Yu arrived at the 3rd floor and stood in front of Xie Yi's room. Come in. In the room, Xie Yi's tone was calm, and one could not tell if he was happy or angry. Stay behind me. The calmer Xie Yi was, the more serious Ning Yu's face became. He protected Lu Wei behind him and pushed out with his right hand. Creak. The door was slowly pushed open. After opening the door, Ning Yu pulled Lu Wei and strode in. Very good. Seeing Ning Yu enter the room, Xie Yi nodded his head. You have 2 choices now. 1. Submit to me. 2. I will kill those 2 wolves. Be more realistic. Don't talk about useless things. Ning Yu first probed the room with his perception, then said, I will never submit to you. Either you hand over ferocious bloodlust Madwolf and the others, or I'll cripple this clone of yours. Ah! Evil One felt like he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed maniacally and said coldly, Those 2 wolves are not here. They're in the army outside the city. If you want to save them, it's not impossible. But you have to leave Giant Shield City with me and try your luck with the 100-Flower City army." Hearing this, Ning Yu's face turned ugly. Try his luck with the 100-Flower City army? That was no different from suicide. Not just him, even Fairy Yuan Shi and Zhenren Mo didn't dare to enter the army. "What, you're not willing?" Xie Yi pouted. "If you're not willing, I can't help you. I'm curious. This clone of yours doesn't have the ability to kill me. Why did you lure me here?" By now, Ning Yu had completely calmed down. He was terrifyingly calm. After analyzing, he was certain that Xie Yi's clone had no way of killing him. If not, with Xie Yi's personality, he would have killed him long ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Xie Yi's eyes flashed for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. "You said that I can't kill you. Why don't we try?" A sinister smile rose on the corner of Xie Yi's lips. "This clone of mine is a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign, while you're only a 9th-grade Mortal Sovereign. I'll see how capable you are." With the word patience, Xie Yi stomped on the ground and dashed towards Ning Yu. Pust pust. As he charged, Xie Yi clenched his right fist and punched at Ning Yu's head. Luckily, Xie Yi should be slightly weaker than Bai Qi. Ning Yu compared Xie Yi's and Bai Qi's strengths. He realized that Bai Qi could easily defeat Xie Yi with his full strength. With Ning Yu's current strength, he wouldn't be a match for Bai Qi at his peak. But against Xie Yi, he could win. Yin Yang Palm. At this critical moment, Ning Yu formed a series of hand seals and pushed out. As Ning Yu pushed out, 2 palm prints flew out from his palms and collided with Xie Yi's fist. Boom! The moment the palm print clashed with Xie Yi's fist, Xie Yi was sent flying backwards like a broken kite. Crack! He crashed heavily against the table and chairs behind him. In an instant, all the chairs in the room broke and were smashed into pieces. "You do have some strength. But if you want to fight me, no," Xie Yi said coldly. He did not gain the upper hand. However, just as Xie Yi finished his sentence, he quickly retreated. Ning Yu's 2nd palm print had also arrived before him and slammed against his chest. Poochie! A huge force came from his chest, causing Xie Yi to fly backwards once again. Damn it! The sudden change made Xie Yi's face turn dark. The yin-yang palm that Ning Yu had executed was indeed heaven-defying. If it wasn't for his cultivation reaching grade 3 Earth Supreme, he would have been defeated. "Ning Yu, you've angered me. I'll skin you alive." Xie Yi went berserk. He wanted to kill Ning Yu and let Ning Yu die without a burial. "Come out." In that instant, Xie Yi formed seals with both hands and waved them. Not long after, a few cultivators that looked similar to Xie Yi appeared in the room. Rustle. When those cultivators appeared, they did not hesitate and immediately attacked Ning Yu. However, the strength of these cultivators was much weaker than Xie Yi. Their cultivation was only at grade 1 Earth Supreme, and they could not pose any threat to Ning Yu. Puff, 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 puff. Ning Yu held onto the red demonic sword and started a massacre in the room. Before long, the few martial artists that appeared later were all killed by Ning Yu without exception. "Ning Yu, how dare you kill my clone?" Seeing the few martial artists die, Xie Yi said coldly, "When we were in the empty secret territory, you destroyed one of my clones, causing me to be unable to train my 1000 free embodiment technique to its peak. Now that you've killed my clone, I will make you beg for death. Come out, giant tyrant." Xie Yi made a grabbing motion with his right hand and space shattered. A massive creature charged out from the void. "Ning Yu, this is the giant tyrant. You will definitely die in its hands today." Chapter 1464. Chapter 1464. Chapter 1464 Call for Help, Giant Tyrant? Ning Yu was dumbfounded. Even those first-grade Earth Sovereigns were easily killed by him. Now, Xie had summoned a giant tyrant. What was the meaning of this? This giant tyrant's cultivation was only at the first-grade Earth Sovereign realm, and it didn't seem very powerful. Did Xie think that this giant tyrant could easily kill him? Go, giant tyrant! Xie shouted coldly. Roar! As soon as Evil's voice fell, giant Tyrannosaurus roared at the sky and charged at Ningyu. Die! Ningyu did not care about the gigantic Tyrannosaurus. He held the red demon's sword in his hand and slashed downwards. Gotcha! A crisp sound rang out. The giant Tyrannosaurus head was chopped off on the spot. Puff! Following that, Ningyu stabbed the red demon's sword into the giant tyrant's heart, directly penetrating it. From start to finish, 3 seconds had passed. In other words, the giant Tyrannosaurus only lasted 3 seconds in Ningyu's hands before it was killed on the spot. Formation, rise. Giant Tyrant's death was within Evil One's expectations. He was not discouraged. Instead, he waved his hands, and 4 pillars of light rose from the 4 corners of the room. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Ah! When the light pillar appeared, Xie laughed. Ningyu, this is a killing array. Without my help, you will not be able to escape. Standing in the middle of the array, Ningyu did not speak. Instead, he locked his gaze onto Xie and stared at him. To be honest, Ningyu had no idea what Evil One was up to. What does it have to do with you whether I can escape or not? Ningyu shrugged and said, You didn't lure me here just to trap me here, did you? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Actually, it's nothing much. I just want you to take me out of Giant Shield City without anyone knowing. Xie's words shocked everyone. The ultimate killing array had already been activated. It was almost impossible to leave Giant Shield City at this time. Besides, even if they could leave Giant Shield City, it was still very dangerous outside. The army of 100 Flowers City had already surrounded Giant Shield City. If they went out, only death awaited them. Why should I help you? Ningyu didn't reject Evil One. He just frowned. Because those 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are in my hands. Xie bargained with Ningyu like a merchant. As long as you can bring me out of Giant Shield City, I will release those 2 wolves. Sounds good, but why should I believe you? Ningyu curled his lips and said. You don't have a choice. Either you take the gamble or I kill the 2 wolves. Xie One said confidently. Looks like I have no other choice. Ningyu slowly closed his eyes and stopped talking. Ningyu did not speak, neither did Xie. In an instant, the room became extremely quiet. Even the sound of breathing could be heard. After a while, Xie said, Have you thought it through? You don't have a choice. You're trapped in this killing array. As long as I give the order, you will die. I seem to have guessed something. Suddenly, Ningyu opened his eyes and said, I don't think you have succeeded in the first stage of the freedom transformation art. Ningyu's words caused Xie's eyes to flicker. Taking a deep breath, Xie pretended to be calm. Don't make wild guesses. The few cultivators you just killed were my second-stage clones. Their cultivations are all first-grade Earth Sovereigns. I've already started cultivating the second stage of the Boundless Embodiment technique. This clone of yours is your 100th clone. It is also the key to success in the first stage of the Freedom Transformation art. Ningyu ignored Xie's words and continued. The rest of your 99 doppelgangers, and even your main body, are outside Giant Shield City. You want me to send your doppelganger out of Giant Shield City so that you can merge all 100 doppelgangers as soon as possible so that you can master the first stage. Because if you're late, your years of hard work will go to waste. And you will have to recultivate the Freedom Transformation art. Nonsense. Xie was shocked. He did not expect Ningyu to guess so accurately. But he would not expose himself at this time. Xie berated. Since you don't believe me, then I will fulfill your wish. I will activate the killing array and kill you. You want to activate the killing array to kill me? You're still lacking. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders, and then with a thought, he said, Elders, come out and help me. Voila! Suddenly, the space beside Ningyu broke apart and 3 figures slowly appeared in the room. Xie could not help sucking in a breath of cold air when he felt the terrifying aura coming from the 3 figures. 2 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns and 1 8th-grade Earth Sovereign. This formation made his heart tremble. How could there be such experts by Ningyu's side? One must know that he had used a secret technique to scan the area. Almost all the experts of the giant shield city had gone to the city tower. Why would there be 2 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns and 1 8th-grade Earth Sovereign by Ningyu's side? Elders, please restrain him. I have a use for him, said Ningyu. What are you thanking me for? Your problem is my problem. The 8th-grade Earth Sovereign pretended to be angry. If it wasn't for you, our Nebula Academy would have been destroyed long ago. Speaking of which, we have to thank you for finding us a place to stay. That's right, these were none other than the elders of Nebula Academy. Back at Nebula Academy, Ningyu had placed all the elders who had not left in the Yuzuan Tower. Originally, Ningyu had wanted to let them out when they arrived at the giant shield city. But Master Xing Yun felt that the city was in a mess, so he did not let them out. Now that Ningyu was in danger, finding a few high-rank Earth Sovereigns to save him wouldn't have much of an impact. Right, where are Master Xing Yun and Quang Zhan? The 8th-grade Earth Sovereign's name was Yang Chong. He first locked his aura on Xie, then said to Ningyu, they should be fine, right? Don't worry, they're fine. Ningyu smiled. The giant shield city is in a mess right now. Once we're done here, you can leave the Yuzuan Tower and find a place to rebuild Nebula Academy. Good, that's all I need to hear. Yang Chong was overjoyed. His figure flashed and instantly appeared beside Xie. Bang! He clenched his right fist and slammed it against Xie's chest. The huge force caused Xie to retreat a few feet. As Xie retreated, a cold light shot out from Yang Chong's sleeves. Under Xie's shocked gaze, it entered his consciousness. Control the consciousness. In an instant, Xie thought of something terrifying. This 8th-grade Earth Sovereign wanted to control his sea of consciousness. The consciousness was the weakest and most important part of a person's body. Once it was controlled, his fate would be in the hands of this 8th-grade Earth Sovereign. Chapter 1465. Chapter 1465. Chapter 1465. Find a way to get out of here. You can't do this to me, or you will suffer retribution. Xie resisted with all his might. This doppelganger was the key to whether or not he could successfully cultivate the infinite free embodiment technique. No matter what, he could not allow himself to be controlled by Ningyu. With Ningyu's personality, after controlling his doppelganger, he would definitely use this to threaten him and force him to reveal the infinite free embodiment technique. If I don't do this to you, I'll suffer retribution. Yang Chong did not care about Xie's cries. He controlled the cold light to enter Xie's mind and took control of it. Ningyu, I'll leave this soul energy to you. Use it to control the life and death of this 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign. After controlling Evil One, Yang Chong casually threw out a cold light towards Ningyu. Ningyu's mind stirred and he firmly caught the cold light. The cold light was Yang Chong's soul power, and it was connected to the soul power in Xie's consciousness sea. In other words, if Ningyu wanted Xie dead, Xie would not be able to escape. Seniors, I'll have to trouble you to break the formation around us, Ningyu said as he retracted his soul power. It's nothing. Yang Chong and the 2 other 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns worked together and spent 3 minutes to break the array that Xie had set up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After breaking the array, Yang Chong and the rest leaped into the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu. Ningyu had said that now was not the time for them to leave the Tower of Yuzu. Therefore, they did not stay in the outside world and entered the Tower of the Lord of Yu. Actually, compared to the outside world, cultivating in the Tower of Yuzuan was twice the result with half the effort. If not for the fact that they had yet to take revenge, they would have stayed in the Tower of Ascension to cultivate. Xie, I can take you out of Giant Shield City. Ningyu walked toward Xie. After a while, he stopped in front of Xie and said, "But you have to promise me one thing." "Humph. Don't expect me to tell you the 1,000 free-form technique." Xie snorted. On the surface, Xie was furious. In fact, hope was ignited in his heart again. As long as Ningyu did not kill him, he would have a chance. In addition, if Ningyu wanted to leave Giant Shield City and set his sights on the great art of infinite freedom of embodiment, then he might be able to escape from Ningyu's clutches. "You misunderstand. I just want to see what your main body looks like." Ningyu shrugged and said, "Now that you are in my hands, you have no other choice. Either you take me there, or you die." "You." Hearing Ningyu use his own words against him, Xie gritted his teeth in anger. He clenched his fists and said, "All right, I'll bring you to see my main body. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to return alive." "You don't have to worry about that. You just need to take me there. You don't have to worry about anything else," Ningyu said fearlessly. "All right, I'll take you there," Xie said coldly. "There's no time to lose. Let's go now." "Seems like you're in a hurry. Don't rush. Before we leave Giant Shield City, there's something I need to do." Ningyu patted Xie's shoulder with his right hand and said, "Stay where you are and don't move. I'm going to set up a few arrays on you." Acting mysterious, Xie's eyes were tightly shut. No one knew what he was thinking. "Ningyu, you." Seeing Ningyu's actions, Lu Wei opened her mouth and said, "I really need your help. Give me a drop of blood." Ningyu smiled at Lu Wei and said, "Whoosh, whoosh." Without another word, Lu Wei forced out 2 drops of blood and sent them to Ningyu. Tsk. Ningyu controlled Lu Wei's blood and started setting up arrays around Xie. Lu Xuan was of the purple spirit body. Her essence blood would be very helpful. In his previous life, Ningyu had seen a special method of isolating space. It mainly used the blood of a purple spirit body. Now, Ningyu used Lu Wei's 2 drops of blood to set up a few arrays around Xie. Law of space: if Xie sends any news to the outside world, inform me immediately. After doing all this, Ningyu contacted the Law of Space and asked it to watch over Xie. After all, the Law of Space was very sensitive to space. If anything happened, it would be the first to notice. "Are you done?" Xie stared at Ningyu impatiently. "You already control my life and death. What's the point of setting up arrays around me?" "It's always better to be careful." Ningyu smiled at Xie. Then, he grabbed Lu Wei's arm and walked out of the room. Seeing Ningyu and Lu Wei leave, a cold glint appeared in Xie's eyes. Moving his feet, Evil One followed closely. Xie's plan was simple. He would first use Ningyu to leave Giant Shield City and then think of a way to contact his main body. As long as he left Giant Shield City, he would have a way to contact his main body. If the main body came, Ningyu would definitely die. They left just like that? On the 2nd floor of Cloud Returning Building, the middle-aged man saw that Ningyu and Xie had left unscathed and was stunned. He remembered clearly that Xie seemed to have a grudge against Ningyu. Why did it look like nothing had happened to them? "Forget it. This matter involves Palace Master Bai Hua. It's better if I don't interfere. I'll just keep quiet and get rich." The middle-aged man took out a storage bag and weighed it in his hand. A smile appeared on his face. "Let's wait a while more. Let's wait for Bai Dun to deal with Palace Master Bai Hua first." Due to the fact that the City Lord residence was kept a secret, no one else knew about it other than a few people. In particular, in Giant Shield City, only Ningyu, Lu Xuan, and a few others knew about White Shield's death. Even Palace Master Hundred Flowers and Fairy Yun, she didn't know much about it. After all, Bai Dun hadn't died yet. He was just kept in Ningyu's storage ring. Sha sha. At the same time, on the streets of Giant Shield City, Ningyu, Xie, and the rest dashed towards the other gate of Giant Shield City. Giant Shield City had a total of 4 gates. Among them, the south gate was the weakest and the easiest to break. Perfected Devil and Fairy Yun she were at the south gate now. Ningyu was going to the north gate. The north gate had been completely sealed. It would be difficult to get through from the outside or inside. Relatively speaking, the north gate had the fewest guards. It was the best way to leave Giant Shield City. Ningyu, are you sure you can take me out from the north gate? Seeing Ningyu heading to the north gate, Xie frowned. From what I can see, the south gate is the easiest to leave. Although there are many people there, it's also the easiest to leave. Too young. Ningyu looked at Xie and said, on the surface it looks like the north gate is the hardest to leave, but that's not the case. Under normal circumstances, it's indeed hard to leave from the north gate. However, Giant Shield City is covered by an ultimate killing formation, and this place is where the eye of the formation is. Don't joke with me. The eye of the ultimate killing formation is underground in the center of Giant Shield City. How can it be here? Xie naturally didn't believe Ningyu. It was impossible in the past, but who knows if White Shield left any trump cards behind. It's better to be careful. Fairy Yun Shi's expression was emotionless as she spoke. White Shield was the city lord of the Giant Shield City. If he really left any trump cards behind, the consequences would be unimaginable. Now that you've put it that way, it might be possible. No, I have to interrogate those people. I must get something out of them. Chi Mo's expression was a little grave. His figure flashed as he flew towards the city lord's mansion. The cultivators that colluded with White Shield had already been captured and interrogated by him. However, Chi Mo did not obtain any useful information from them. Now that there might be a change, Chi Mo naturally had to interrogate them again. This time, Chi Mo decided that no matter what method he had to use, he had to get something out of them. Whoosh! At the same time, 3 cultivators suddenly appeared in a dense forest outside the Giant Shield City. Without a doubt, these 3 cultivators were Ningyu, Xie, and the rest. They really left. Looking around, Xie felt that it was a little unbelievable. He was extremely excited to be able to leave the Giant Shield City safely. That was an ultimate killing formation. How did Ningyu break it? Since Ningyu could break the ultimate killing formation, didn't that mean that as long as he captured Ningyu, he could break the killing formation from the outside? Ha ha ha! The more he thought about it, the more excited Xie got. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Hearing Xie laugh, Ningyu looked at him as though he was looking at an idiot. Have you lost your mind? I'm sorry, I'm just a little excited to be able to leave the Giant Shield City successfully. Xie retracted his smile and said, don't rush. What will make you excited is yet to come. Bring me to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves. Ningyu looked at Xie with a faint smile. If anything happens to the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves, you should know the consequences. See the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Aren't we going to see my main body? Why do we have to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Xie was a little confused. He thought he was going to see the main body. Who would have thought that Ningyu's idea was a little strange? He wanted to see the 2 wolves? Should I contact the main body? Xie's eyes flickered. He wanted to contact the main body but was afraid that Ningyu would find out. After all, he only had one chance. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't get another one. What's wrong? You can't bring me to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Seeing Xie's face, Ningyu was confused. There is a way, but I'm afraid you won't dare to go. Xie frowned. The 2 wolves are 7th grade Earth Sovereigns and the cultivators guarding them are 8th grade Earth Sovereigns. With your current state, halfway through his sentence, Xie seemed to have thought of something and stopped talking. Ningyu was indeed only a 9th-grade human sovereign and could only fight against a 3rd-grade Earth sovereign. However, Ningyu had a 8th-grade Earth sovereign with him. The reason why he was controlled by Ningyu and the array he set up was all because of the 8th-grade Earth sovereign. Where are the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Ningyu didn't want to listen to Xie's nonsense. He asked directly, "Can we sneak to where the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves are?" "I'm afraid it's a little difficult." Xie shook his head. "I heard that there are 2 8th-grade Earth sovereigns in 100 Flower City who have their eyes on the 2 wolves and want to make them their mounts." Crack crack. Hearing this, Ningyu clenched his fists tightly. The ferocious and scarred wolves had helped him a lot. He had to get them out no matter what. "You must have a way." Taking a deep breath, Ningyu calmed down. Needless to say, Xie definitely had a way to get close to the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves. The reason why Xie didn't want to tell him was because he wanted to get more benefits. "I do have a way." Now that things had come to this, Xie didn't want to hide anymore. He said, "As long as you let go of me, I will." Poochie. Before Evil could finish his sentence, he felt his body lighten and he fell backwards. Crack. The huge tree, which was as thick as a person's waist, was directly smashed in half. Crack. Chapter 1467. Earth Dragon Grass. Remember your identity, captive, prisoner. You have no right to bargain with me. After kicking Xie away, Ningyu said indifferently, "You only have 2 choices now. Either you bring me to see the ferocious blood-crazed wolf, or you die." "You." Xie clenched his teeth. He didn't think that Ningyu would be so ruthless, not giving him any chance at all. Actually, he was just testing Ningyu. He didn't think that Ningyu would release his control over him. He just wanted to test Ningyu's thoughts. Who would have thought that Ningyu wouldn't even give him a chance to retort? He extended his right leg and kicked him far away. "I'll bear with you for a while longer." Because they were far from the main body, Xie didn't do anything. He could only swallow his anger. Taking a deep breath, Xie said, "I do have a way to bring you to the wolves, but," Xie paused and continued, "you have to promise me not to mess around. If we attract the attention of the 100 Flower City's army, we will be in deep trouble." "Where are they? Are they in the army?" Ningyu was confused. Why did it sound like they were going deep into the enemy's territory? "That's right, they are in the army." Evil nodded and said, "This time, the army of 100 Flower City is divided into east, south, west, and north. The 2 wolves are in the east. It's very dangerous to go deep into the east. I suggest that some people don't go." Xie glanced at Lu Wei, his meaning clear. To Xie, Lu Wei was only an 8th-grade human supreme. She would only be a burden to the East Army. "She's more useful than you." Ningyu didn't want to argue with Xie about Lu Wei. He said, "Let's not waste time. Let's go. Follow this forest to the east. At the end, you will see the East Army." Xie pointed to the east. "Go." Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He took Lu Wei with him and walked toward the east side of the forest. Due to the arrival of the 4 armies of the 100 Flower City, the demonic beasts in the forest had all scattered, leaving only a few behind. Along the way, Ningyu and the others were unimpeded. Furthermore, Ningyu had also found out from Xie that the leader of the Eastern Army was a quasi-heavenly sovereign. Since there was a half-step heaven supreme, Ningyu had Lu Wei enter his spatial ring, and he and Evil too continued on their way. Ningyu and Xie were not slow. Soon, they reached the end of the forest. There are actually so many people in the Eastern Army? At the end of the forest, Ningyu looked at the large army in the distance with a serious look in his eyes. Ningyu knew that there were many people attacking Giant Shield City this time, but he hadn't expected there to be so many. Although the 100 Flower City was bigger than the Giant Shield City, It shouldn't be by much, right? There shouldn't be so many people here. So it's a ninth-grade mortal sovereign. Ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. I'll see where you get your confidence from to contend with me. As he spoke, the tanned man swiftly charged out and threw his iron-like fist towards Ningyu's face. Crack! Ningyu unhurriedly threw out a punch, which coincidentally collided with the tanned man's fist. A crisp sound rang out. A figure rapidly retreated and heavily crashed into the ground. How is that possible? The long-haired man's face was filled with shock and disbelief. In his view, the tanned man was a first-grade Earth sovereign, while his opponent was only a ninth-grade mortal sovereign. The gap between the two was huge, so it didn't make sense for the tanned man to lose. However, the truth was placed before him, so the long-haired man had no choice but to believe it. Brat, you're courting death. Clenching his fists, the long-haired man instantly charged out and roared, "Let's attack together. I don't believe we can't kill him. Did you ask for my opinion before you attacked?" As the long-haired man advanced, space split apart and Xie appeared. Swish! Chapter 1468. Who are you? The long-haired man's face was ugly as he berated. The long-haired man's face was very ugly as he berated. Ningyu was only a ninth-grade human sovereign. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't be that strong. Ningyu was only a ninth-grade Earth sovereign. Even if they joined forces, they might not be a match for a third-grade Earth sovereign. Even if they joined forces, they might not be a match for a third-grade Earth sovereign. What should we do? Xie did not answer the long-haired man, but turned to look at Ningyu, seeking Ningyu's opinion. Xie's action shocked the long-haired man and the black-faced man. Could it be that a ninth-grade Earth sovereign had a special identity? Was he the young master of some family? Thinking about it, the long-haired man and the black-faced man started to think. They were already trapped by a third-grade Earth sovereign, and the only thing they could do now was to take down Ningyu. Otherwise, they would definitely die. If they wanted to take down Ningyu, they had to find an opportunity and strike when Xie was unprepared. After exchanging glances, the black-faced burly man and the long-haired man nodded slightly. They had a tacit understanding of each other. You should know better than me what to do. Ningyu shrugged and said, I need to know everything about the army in the east. No problem. Hearing Ningyu's words, Xie nodded his head and charged out, attacking the long-haired man and the black-faced man. I'm going to kill him. Xie's sudden attack caused the long-haired man and the rest's faces to change. Their original intention was to wait for Ningyu to reveal an opening so that they could take down Ningyu. Now, Xie was the first to attack them. I'll hold him back. You take down that ninth-grade Earth sovereign. The black-faced man took a step forward and blocked in front of Xie. I can only hold him off for 3 minutes. You must take down that ninth-grade Earth sovereign within 3 minutes. No problem. The long-haired man's face turned grave. He did not dare to waste the 3 minutes that the black-faced man had bought for him. In an instant, he unleashed his trump card, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Ningyu. It was still the same sentence. Dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. Before the long-haired man could reach Ningyu, the outcome of the battle on the other side of the battlefield had already been decided. Gotcha! Xie unleashed his strongest attack, punching through the man's heart, killing him on the spot. Even though Xie was under Ningyu's control, his abilities were still out of this world. The black-faced man was not as heaven-defying as Ningyu. His cultivation level was higher than Ningyu, but his strength was much weaker than Xie. It was reasonable for him to be killed by Xie's punch. Who the hell are you people? The long-haired man finally panicked when he saw that the black-faced man was killed with a single punch. His strength was weaker than the black-faced burly man. Even the black-faced burly man had been killed with a single punch, let alone him. Let me ask you a few questions. If you answer honestly, I can consider sparing your life. Ningyu went straight to the point. In the Eastern Army, there are 2 frenzied bloodthirsty wolves. Do you know where they are being held? There are indeed 2 frenzied bloodthirsty wolves, but I advise you not to target them. They are the mounts of Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Huo. The long-haired man did not hide anything. He even warned Ningyu not to act recklessly. Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Huo were both 8th grade Earth Supremes and 9th grade Initial Phase Alchemists. They were the leaders of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan's trusted aides. Rumor had it that they came from the same place, the Alchemy Union. Don't worry about it. Ningyu shrugged and continued. Second question. Do you have a way to bring us to where the 2 frenzied bloodthirsty wolves are? The long-haired man hesitated when he heard Ningyu's words. The place where the 2 frenzied bloodthirsty wolves are being held is heavily guarded. I can only bring you to the outermost area. As for getting close to them, I can't do it. Can't do it? Then what's the point of keeping you alive? As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu flicked his wrist, and the red demon sword instantly appeared in his hand. Raising the red demon sword, Ningyu was about to slash at the long-haired man. Wait, let me think of a way. Think of a way. In the face of death, the long-haired man racked his brains to think of a way to survive. After all, no one wanted to die. I'll give you 3 minutes. Xie, keep an eye on him. Don't let him contact the people in the Eastern Army. Ningyu did not force the long-haired man. After he said that, he fell silent and closed his eyes. On the surface, Ningyu did not do anything. But in reality, that was not the case. His senses had already entered the storage ring and started searching for the herbs inside. What the long-haired man was looking for was the earth dragon grass. And Ningyu remembered very clearly that there was the earth dragon grass in the storage bag. If he could find the earth dragon grass, he would have the capital to sneak into the Eastern Army. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to sneak into the Eastern Army. Found it. Not long after, Ningyu's face lit up. In the storage ring, he did find the earth dragon grass. The earth dragon grass was a very precious herb. Generally speaking, elixirs refined with the earth dragon grass would not have bad effect. If I'm not wrong, that Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Huo want the earth dragon grass to refine the earth dragon pill. Ningyu frowned slightly. The earth dragon pill was an early-stage grade 9 elixir. The refining process was very complicated. However, the effect of the earth dragon pill was very good. If the bloodthirsty madwolf and the rest swallowed it, they might really be controlled by Master Mu Ping. Earth dragon grass, earth dragon pill, got it. Ningyu's eyes turned and he suddenly thought of a countermeasure. According to the reincarnation pill Dao's records, there was a type of herb that was extremely similar to the earth dragon grass. And the earth dragon pill refined with that type of herb basically did not have much effect. That type of herb was called earth tiger grass. Even though the earth dragon grass and earth tiger grass only differed by one word, the effects were indeed very different. Where can I find the earth tiger grass? Ningyu fell into a difficult situation again. He had the earth dragon grass, but he did not have the earth tiger grass. Don't tell me I have to return to Giant Shield City? Ningyu was very conflicted. If he returned to Giant Shield City, he could definitely find the earth tiger grass from Master Xingyun. But that would also completely expose him. And staying here, it would be very difficult to find the earth tiger grass. Right. Suddenly, Ningyu slapped his head, and his mind sank into the Tower of Yuzuan. Swish. After passing through the first 9 levels of the Tower of Yuzuan, Ningyu directly arrived at the 10th level. Senior, I have a request. Ningyu appeared extremely respectful and said. The illusory figure on the 10th level of the Tower of Yuzuan was extremely powerful, and he was the actual controller of the Tower of Yuzuan. In Ningyu's opinion, he definitely had the earth tiger grass on him. What is it? After a while, a vigorous voice rang in Ning Yu's ears. Chapter 1469. Chapter 1469. Chapter 1469 To pretend. I have the earth tiger grass, and I can give it to you as well. But you have to be careful. There are heavenly sovereigns in the army not far from you. Xiao. Following that, the space beside Ningyu broke apart and a storage bag appeared in front of him. Thank you, Senior. After receiving the storage bag, Ningyu released his perception and probed it for a bit, then hurriedly said, You've helped me a lot this time. Go, the 3 heavenly sovereigns will listen to your orders soon. A powerful voice sounded, ordering the guest to leave. Hearing this, Ningyu's face revealed a look of excitement. His situation was getting more and more dangerous. If he had 3 heavenly sovereigns listening to him, he could basically walk unhindered in the pellet formation continent. After all, that slaughterer demon was a mid-heavenly supreme. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu left the Tower of Yuzu in the blink of an eye. Although it was exciting to have 3 Sky Supremes at his beck and call, Ningyu knew his priorities. His goal in leaving Giant Shield City this time was to rescue the bloodthirsty Berserk Wolf and the scarred Berserk Wolf. Now that he had obtained the ground tiger grass, he could pass it off as genuine and deceive the long-haired man. In fact, Ningyu already had a plan in mind. It was just that he could not tell the long-haired man about the most crucial part of the plan. Not only could he not tell the long-haired man, he could not even tell Xie. After all, Xie was very special. This was just his doppelganger. Before he found his main body, Ningyu did not dare to let his guard down. What's your decision? After leaving the Tower of Yuzuan, Ningyu came to the long-haired man and asked, Is there any way for us to see those 2 wolves? There is a way, but it's a little difficult. The long-haired man wiped the sweat off his forehead, gritted his teeth and said, You pretend to be the black-faced burly man. The 2 of us will go to the Western Army to borrow the Earth Dragon Grass. Then, you and I will return to the Eastern Army and hand the Earth Dragon Grass to Grandmaster Mu Ping and Grandmaster Mu Hu. After thinking about it, I think this is the only way. Ningyu did not answer the long-haired man immediately. Instead, he pretended to be deep in thought. In fact, the long-haired man had the same idea as Ningyu. However, Ningyu was pressuring the long-haired man to make him say more. As expected, Ningyu's silence gave the long-haired man enough pressure. Bean-sized beads of sweat dripped down the forehead of the long-haired man. This is the best way. This is the only thing we can do. The long-haired man said again. The place where the 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are imprisoned is heavily guarded. We definitely can't barge in, so we can only use this method. All right, we'll do as you say. Ningyu nodded and said, Tell me everything about the black-faced man's characteristics, hobbies, and daily details. No problem. The long-haired man heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. As long as Ningyu didn't kill him, he would have a chance to live. Once we enter the Eastern Army, I won't have to worry about not being able to kill you too. The long-haired man told Ningyu about the black-faced man's characteristics and thought to himself, When that time comes, I will turn you 2 into ashes. After about 10 minutes, the long-haired man finally told Ningyu everything about the black-faced man. The long-haired man knew the black-faced man so well that Ningyu couldn't help but look at him in a different light. However, the way Ningyu looked at the long-haired man was a little special. Xie, when we enter the Eastern Army, I definitely won't be able to bring you along. I want to ask, do you have a way to hide your chi and stay by my side? Ningyu didn't care about the long-haired man's private life. He turned to Xie and said, The Eastern Army is extremely dangerous. You better have a way to hide your chi. If not, I will have to use my own method to keep you. Of course I have a way. Xie flicked his wrist and a blue jade bracelet appeared in his hand. Shaking the bracelet, Xie said, It's called the blue jade bracelet. I will enter its body. You just have to bring it with you. No problem, Ningyu said. Whoosh. In the next second, Xie Yi's body flashed and entered the blue jade bracelet. Pack. Ningyu reacted quickly and grabbed the bracelet before it fell to the ground. Hee, this blue jade bracelet is very special. It can hide my chi and help me find an opportunity. Inside the bracelet, Xie Yi snickered. However, just as Xie Yi was about to laugh, he stopped abruptly. He realized that his senses were trapped inside the bracelet and couldn't leave. Done. Outside, Ningyu threw the bracelet into the Tower of Yuzuan and clapped his hands. Long-haired man, we can go now. The Tower of Yuzuan had the ability to isolate chi. Xie Yi naturally couldn't use his senses inside. Let's go. The long-haired man organized his thoughts and walked towards the Western Army. Wait, you seem to be going in the wrong direction. Ningyu stopped him. We need to go to the Eastern Army to see the bloodthirsty wolf. But we don't have the Earth Dragon Grass. The long-haired man was confused. Without it, even if they returned to the Eastern Army, they wouldn't be able to see the bloodthirsty wolf. After all, Ningyu was temperamental and the long-haired man didn't want anything to happen. Once he found the Earth Dragon Grass, he would give it to Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Huo. Then, he would slowly look for an opportunity. I have the Earth Dragon Grass. Ningyu flicked his wrist and took out the Earth Tiger Grass from his storage bag. Because the Earth Tiger Grass and Earth Dragon Grass were very similar, the long-haired man was stunned. The reason why the long-haired man was like this was not because Ningyu had Earth Dragon Grass, but because Ningyu had too much Earth Dragon Grass. Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Huo only needed one Earth Dragon Grass, and Ningyu had so many. What a surprise! Let's go to the Eastern Army. Ningyu put away the ground tiger grass and walked toward the army on the East Road. The long-haired man hesitated and said, "But you don't look like the dark-faced man." Ningyu was pretending to be the dark-faced man. Even if he had a lot of Earth Dragon Grass, he had to look like the dark-faced man to not arouse suspicion. That's easy. Ningyu shrugged, and then his entire body began to expand. Crack, crack. His bones stretched and his skin tanned. In just a few seconds, Ningyu looked like a completely different person. The current him was exactly the same as the dark-faced man from before. Be it his body shape or temperament, there wasn't much difference. Even the long-haired man, who had been in contact with the dark-faced man for a long time, couldn't find any flaws. Let's go. Since Ningyu had become the dark-faced man, the long-haired man didn't hesitate anymore. His figure flashed and he led the way for Ningyu. With Ningyu by his side, the long-haired man didn't dare to act rashly. He was very obedient along the way and didn't do anything out of line. Chapter 1470. 4 powerhouses among the 4 armies attacking Giant Shield City. The Eastern Army was the most special. That's because the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan, came from the Pellet Refinement Union. Meng Quan himself was a pinnacle 9th-grade alchemist and a quasi-heavenly supreme. Thus, the leaders of the other 3 armies were extremely respectful to him. After all, no one knew when they would be injured, so it would be best if they could find a pinnacle 9th-grade alchemist to get some life-saving elixirs. Then again, no one would ask Meng Quan for elixirs after they were injured. Seeing that the battle was about to erupt, the leaders of the other 3 armies, 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns, gathered in the Eastern Army. The reception hall of the Eastern Army was located at the center. Originally, this place was a barren wasteland, but Meng Quan used a great trick to move a palace here, and this palace also became the most important place for the Eastern Army. In the hall, a man in his 30s or 40s sat at the head with 3 old men on his 2 sides. Cough, cough. Not long after, the man coughed and asked, "May I know why you're here?" Without a doubt, this man was the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan, who was a quasi-heavenly supreme. The 3 old men came from the Western Army, Southern Army, and Northern Army. Amongst them, The Northern Army's quasi-heavenly supreme was called Big Dipper Venerable, who had a powerful aura. The leader of the Southern Army was called Southern Dipper Venerable, who was a quasi-heavenly supreme. The leader of the Western Army was called Shi-Do Venerable, who was also a quasi-heavenly supreme. Seeing that the battle is about to erupt, we're here to ask for some life-saving elixirs from Brother Meng. The first to speak was Big Dipper Venerable. He smiled. Brother Meng's identity is extraordinary, and the higher-ups have already ordered that the Eastern Army will be the last to attack. That's right. With our 3 armies taking the vanguard, I believe that by the time Brother Meng makes a move, the giant shield city will have already fallen. So Brother Meng won't be affected. Shi-Do Venerable added. Brother Meng is a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, so you can refine a few elixirs for us to broaden our horizons. Southern Dipper Venerable said. On the surface, Nan-Do the Venerable and the others were complimenting Meng Quan, but that was not the case. On the surface, they were complimenting Meng Quan, but in reality, they were testing the pressure on Meng Quan and expressing their dissatisfaction. The higher-ups had ordered Meng Quan to be the last to attack, and had even sent the elite troops to Meng Quan. It was obvious that they wanted to use them as cannon fodder. On the surface, they came over this time to ask Meng Quan for the medicinal pills, but in reality, they were robbing him by force. If Meng Quan did not give them the medicinal pills, the 3 of them would have to have a good talk with Meng Quan. Dong, dong, dong. How could Meng Quan not know what Nan-Do the Venerable and the others were thinking? His right hand lightly tapped on the seat beneath him, and he did not speak. For a moment, the scene became somewhat awkward. After about 4 or 5 minutes, Meng Quan said, "You must be joking. I'm just a 9th-level alchemist. How can I have any life-saving pills?" If that's the case, Brother Meng doesn't want to give us the pills. In an instant, the air in the entire area seemed to freeze. Southern Dipper the Venerable and the others unleashed their auras and pressed down on Meng Quan. The scene of 3 half-step heavenly sovereigns working together to test the pressure on Meng Quan was terrifying. Sizzle! Meng Quan did not feel any pressure even though he was 1 against 3. Meng Quan might only be a half-step heavenly sovereign, but his soul energy had reached the pinnacle of 9th level. Meng Quan was still able to deal with the 3 of them with ease. Meng Quan, you're trying to rebel. Seeing that he couldn't suppress Meng Quan, Southern Dipper the Venerable reprimanded. We're here to exchange tactics, but you're treating us like this. What are your intentions? Meng Quan, if you continue to do this, I'll... Shi-Do the Venerable said coldly. But before Shi-Do the Venerable could finish his sentence, Meng Quan's hands tore through the void and appeared beside him in the blink of an eye. He raised his right hand and slapped Shi-Do the Venerable's cheek. A crisp sound resounded. Shi-Do the Venerable was stunned on the spot with his mouth wide open. Meng Quan was a half-step heavenly sovereign, and so was he. Why didn't he react when Meng Quan slapped him? Not only was Shi-Do the Venerable shocked, but even the Southern Dipper and Northern Dipper Venerables were dumbfounded. They came here to denounce Meng Quan, but in the end they failed and were taught a lesson by Meng Quan. How intolerable! Meng Quan, how dare you? Are you trying to rebel? Southern Dipper the Venerable coldly barked. I'm sorry, I'm not targeting anyone, I just wanted to say, as he spoke, Meng Quan briefly paused before he continued, everyone else here is trash. You're courting death. Arrogant. Meng Quan's public ridicule made the Southern Dipper venerable and the rest furious. Although Meng Quan was powerful, no one knew who would win if they fought. Furthermore, this was the base of the Eastern Route Army, so the Eastern Route Army would definitely be affected if they fought here. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Since you guys want the life-saving elixir, it's not impossible. Meng Quan smiled and said, Mu Ping, Mu Hua, the 2 of you, come here. Buzz, buzz. Along with Meng Quan's words, the space in the hall suddenly tore apart and 2 silhouettes appeared. Without a doubt, the 2 of them were Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Give the three of you some of the elixirs that I've given you guys previously. Meng Quan waved his hand. Don't be stingy. After all, the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest are leading the charge. The longer they can last, the less danger we'll face. No problem. Mu Hua and Mu Ping were smart. They took out a few interspatial pouches and tossed them to the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest. Crack. Looking into the interspatial pouches, the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest gritted their teeth. Trash elixirs. The best elixirs in the interspatial pouches were only at the 8th grade, but there were also many 4th and 5th grade elixirs. They were all quasi-heavenly sovereigns, so these elixirs were useless to them. Meng Quan, are you determined to go against us? The Southern Dipper Venerable solemnly said. Today you have to report. Suddenly, a voice resounded from outside the hall. Come in. Meng Quan faintly said. Not long after, a 5th grade Earth Sovereign entered the hall and respectfully said, Leader, someone wants to see Mu Hua and Master Mu Ping. And them? Who wants to see them? Meng Quan knitted his brows. It's the black-faced man and the long-haired man. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign respectfully said, They said that they borrowed a large amount of Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Route Army and want to hand it over to Mu Hua and Master Mu Ping. Earth Dragon Grass? Chapter 1471. Chapter 1471. Acting at the same time in the Eastern Army, the long-haired man and Ning Yu were stopped in a corner, and there were people guarding them. There were many people in the Eastern Army, and the long-haired man's group rarely came in contact with the outside world since they usually followed Mu Hua and Mu Ping. Before they left, Mu Hua gave the long-haired man a token. However, the token was lost in the process of fighting with Ningyu, so they could only wait here to be notified. Fortunately, someone recognized the Earth Dragon Grass. Otherwise, they might think that Ningyu and the rest were liars. The security here is indeed tight. Ningyu closed his eyes tightly and released his perception slightly, wanting to explore the surroundings. However, Ningyu's perception had only taken a few steps when he hurriedly retracted it. That's because Ningyu realized that the Eastern Army was simply a tiger's den. Not to mention mortal sovereigns, even Earth sovereigns and advanced Earth sovereigns wouldn't be able to take a single step here. Could it be that the elites of the 100 Flowers Palace are gathered here? Ningyu muttered. The two of you come with me. At this moment, a 5th grade Earth Sovereign walked over and said, Go to the hall, the leader wants to see you. The leader wants to see us? Ningyu was shocked in his heart. The leader of the Eastern Army was a quasi-heavenly sovereign, so why would he want to see him? Ningyu's thoughts became active. Could it be that he had been exposed? The more he thought about it, the more Ningyu felt that it was possible. Otherwise, the long-haired man wouldn't have lost his token. Don't talk nonsense. Just leave when I tell you to. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign coldly said, Don't talk too much when you see the leader. Just answer whatever the leader asks. Right? Don't say that you borrowed the Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Army. Otherwise, the leader will be unhappy. This 5th grade Earth Supreme Expert was quite nice and reminded them. After all, the Shido Venerable was in the hall, so if Ningyu said that the Earth Dragon Grass was borrowed from the Western Army, it would definitely embarrass Meng Quan. Thank you. Ningyu thanked him and did not say anything else. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. It was impossible for him to leave now. He could only go to the main hall to take a look and wait for an opportunity. Whoosh! Not long after, Ningyu and the others stopped in front of a large hall. You guys can go in. Remember, be smart. Some things can be said, and some things are better left unsaid. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign pointed at the door of the palace and said, It's best to give the Earth Dragon Grass to leader immediately. Creak. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu pushed open the door of the palace. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just as Ningyu pushed open the door, 5 pairs of eyes flew towards him. Ning Yu could clearly sense that not only were there 5 gazes flying over, but there were also 5 powerful senses probing him and the long-haired man. Xiao. These senses probed for a full minute before withdrawing. I heard that you guys have borrowed the Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Road Army. The first to speak was the Shi-Do Venerable. His tone was calm without any emotions. Although his tone was calm, the Shi-Do Venerable had unleashed his aura and violently pressured towards Ning Yu and the long-haired man. Under the powerful pressure of the Shi-Do Venerable, the long-haired man immediately knelt down. Crack. It was so much so that even his knees started to crack. Senior, although you're stronger than me, you can't speak without thinking. We did find the Earth Dragon Grass, but we did not borrow it from the Western Road Army. Forcefully enduring the swelling pain coming from his knee, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "There's a secret cave in the forest not far from the Eastern Army. We went through untold hardships to find a lot of Earth Dragon Grass in that cave. Why did you say that our Earth Dragon Grass was borrowed from there?" "Humph! Brat, you dare to speak to me in this manner." The Shi-Do Venerable coldly snorted as he unleashed his aura once again and violently pressured Ning Yu. "Enough." Right at this moment, Meng Quan waved his hand, and a gentle and strong wind lifted Ning Yu and the long-haired man up. "Meng Quan, what's the meaning of this?" The Shi-Do Venerable's face was unsightly. He wanted to teach the long-haired man and the dark-skinned man a lesson, but who could have expected that Meng Quan would interfere? This matter had made him furious. "Nothing much. I just wanted to tell you that this is the Eastern Road Army, and the dark-skinned man and the long-haired man before you are from the Eastern Road Army," Meng Quan faintly said. "Not bad." Hearing Meng Quan's words, Ning Yu let out a long breath. Fortunately, his disguise technique was superb. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble if he was discovered by Meng Quan and the rest. Since Meng Quan and the rest did not discover that he was a fake dark-skinned man, then he would have a chance. Sweeping his gaze around, Ning Yu could determine that the other 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns should be the leaders of the other 3 armies. Judging from the situation, Meng Quan must have some conflict with them. Since that's the case, then he would have more space to move around, and his chances would also be greater. "Meng Quan, everyone knows that only our Western Road Army has the Earth Dragon Grass. You found 2 first-grade Earth Sovereigns, and you claim that you found a large amount of Earth Dragon Grass? Isn't that nonsense?" The Shi-Do Venerable solemnly said. "Don't be anxious. Let them take out the Earth Dragon Grass first, and see how much there is." The Nan-Do Venerable was rather rational. "Right, take out the Earth Dragon Grass. I want to see how much you've borrowed from us." The corner of the Shi-Do Venerable's lips rose as he eerily said, "I want a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign for 1 Earth Dragon Grass." Ning Yu did not follow the Shi-Do Venerable's words. Instead, he shifted his gaze towards Meng Quan to seek his opinion. When Meng Quan gently nodded his head, Ning Yu took out the Earth Dragon Grass from his interspatial pouch. 1 stalk, 2 stalks, 3 stalks. Every time Ning Yu took out an Earth Dragon Grass, no, an Earth Tiger Grass that was similar to the Earth Dragon Grass, the eyes of the Shi-Do Venerable and the rest would light up. In the beginning, Meng Quan did not have much of a reaction. After all, he was a 9th-grade pinnacle alchemist, and he had seen many Earth Dragon Grasses in his alchemy. However, when Ning Yu took out the 20th stalk of Earth Dragon Grass, Meng Quan was finally moved. So many Earth Dragon Grasses were worth a lot of money. When Ning Yu took out the 50th stalk of Earth Dragon Grass, Meng Quan's eyes widened and he was a little dumbfounded. Meng Quan was confused. He had checked the nearby forest, and logically speaking, there shouldn't be so many Earth Dragon Grasses. Where did these 2 first-grade Earth Sovereigns find so many Earth Dragon Grasses? Could it be that they really borrowed them from the Western Road Army? The more Meng Quan thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472 Earth-changing pill. Ning Yu did not care about the astonished expressions of Meng Quan and the others. He continued to take out the earth dragon grass from his storage bag. This time, Ning Yu's goal was to rescue the ferocious bloodthirsty madwolf and the scarred bloodthirsty madwolf. If he could attract Meng Quan's attention, that would be the best thing. A total of 80 earth dragon grasses. After a few minutes, Ning Yu took out all the earth dragon grass from his storage bag. Pointing at the 80 stalks of earth dragon grass on the ground, Ning Yu said, "Leader, please inspect them." Whoosh! Meng Shu's figure flickered, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared beside the earth dragon grass. Casually picking up an earth dragon grass, Meng Quan exerted a little force in his palm, and the earth dragon grass in his hand turned into nothingness. "That's right, it is the earth dragon grass." Seeing this, Meng Quan nodded and said, "You have done well in this matter. Here are 2 ninth realm medicinal pills as a reward." With a flick of his wrist, 2 medicinal pills flew out from Meng Quan's sleeve. One flew towards Ning Yu, the other towards the long-haired man. Earth-changing pill. Catching the pill, the long-haired man revealed a shocked expression. The earth-changing pill was a top-notch pill even amongst the 9th-grade pills. If an ordinary first-grade Earth Sovereign swallowed the earth-changing pill, there was a 50% chance of advancing to the 2nd-grade Earth Sovereign realm. Gotcha! The long-haired man didn't waste any time. He directly threw the changing earth pill into his mouth, sat down cross-legged, and began to refine it. "I can't believe it!" The long-haired man's actions stunned Ning Yu. Although the earth-changing pill was special and of high quality, there was no need to consume it now, right? Buzz. As soon as the earth-changing pill entered his stomach, the long-haired man's body began to change. Wisps of black gas were continuously emitting from the forehead of the long-haired man. Ning Yu knew very well that the black gas was the impurities in the long-haired man's body. As the black gas continued to gush out, the long-haired man's aura began to soar. Bang! About 5 minutes later, when a muffled sound came from the long-haired man's consciousness, the long-haired man's aura suddenly increased. 2nd-grade Earth Supreme Realm. At this moment, the long-haired man's cultivation had risen from 1st-grade Earth Sovereign to 2nd-grade Earth Sovereign. "Thank you, leader." Sensing the changes in his consciousness, the long-haired man was overjoyed. He hurriedly thanked him and said, "When we attack Giant Shield City, I'll definitely charge at the forefront and kill the enemies for you." "All right, you may leave." Meng Quan waved his hand, indicating that the long-haired man could leave first. "Yes." The long-haired man nodded, then turned around and walked out of the hall. Ning Yu moved his feet and followed behind the long-haired man, wanting to leave the hall. "He can go, you stay." However, just as Ning Yu raised his right leg, Meng Quan's voice sounded out in the hall. "Your 80 stalks of earth dragon grass have really helped me a lot. Tell me, what benefits do you want?" This subordinate wouldn't dare. Ning Yu naturally didn't dare to act rashly in front of Meng Quan. He hurriedly said, "These 80 stalks of earth dragon grass were sent by Mu Ping and Mu Hua. We're only completing the mission. Mu Ping and Mu Hua probably asked you to find the earth dragon grass to refine elixirs that can control the 2 bloodthirsty madwolves. How about this? I'll make the decision. After they refine the elixirs, I'll give you one. In other words, you can have 1 bloodthirsty madwolf as your mount," Meng Quan said with a slight frown. Hearing this, Ning Yu revealed a terrified expression. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "This subordinate wouldn't dare. Those 2 bloodthirsty madwolves belong to Mu Hua and Mu Ping. This subordinate won't. If I say you can, then you can. If you can't, then you can leave first." Meng Quan interrupted Ning Yu. "Mu Hua, Mu Ping, after you're done refining the elixirs, give one to him." As he spoke, Meng Quan flicked his wrist and 2 stalks of earth dragon grass flew towards Mu Hua and Mu Ping. "Thank you, master." After receiving the earth dragon grass, Mu Ping and Mu Hua exchanged a glance before leaving the hall with Ningyu. In an instant, the hall turned silent once again. The Shi-Do Venerable's face was extremely unsightly. If it wasn't for the Southern Dipper Venerable stopping him, he would have definitely snatched the Earth Dragon Grass. 80 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass was an extremely precious herb. The 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns were determined to get a share of the loot no matter what. Rise. Regardless of what Shi-Do the Venerable One and the others were thinking, Meng Quan waved his hands, causing a furnace to appear above him. What is he trying to do? Meng Quan's actions left the Shi-Do Venerable dumbfounded. What else can he do? He even brought out his cauldron, so he must be trying to refine elixirs here. The Southern Dipper Venerable said. That's right, it should be, my God. The Northern Dipper Venerable echoed. However, the Northern Dipper Venerable couldn't help cursing halfway through his words. He noticed that Meng Quan had thrown the remaining 78 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass into the cauldron. The preciousness of the Earth Dragon Grass didn't need them to explain. Meng Quan was using 78 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass to refine elixirs, along with dozens of precious herbs. One could imagine how heaven-defying this batch of elixirs would be. Let's play by ear. Since Meng Quan was refining the elixirs, the Shi-Do Venerable and the rest tactfully kept their silence. At this moment, even a fool could guess what they were thinking. When Meng Quan was done refining the elixirs, they would suddenly make a move and snatch the elixirs. An elixir refined with so many precious herbs was probably the best elixir to protect one's life. At the same time, in a small palace not far from the hall, the 2 masters, Mu Hua and Mu Ping, stood on both sides with Ningyu and the long-haired man standing beside them. Next, we're going to start refining the elixirs. Your task is to stand guard for us. Mu Hua glanced at Ningyu and the long-haired man, then said in a deep voice, "We'll activate the palace's formation later. The long-haired man will guard outside the door, and the black-faced burly man will guard inside. Before we finish refining the elixirs, don't let anyone in." The long-haired man hesitated and asked, "What if the chief comes?" "Humph. Do you need me to teach you about this?" Mu Hua scoffed. "My master is a peak grade 9 elixir master. He knows that others can't be disturbed when they're refining elixirs. Otherwise, their efforts will go to waste." "Got it." The long-haired man dared not delay and hurriedly left the small palace. Whoosh! Not long after the long-haired man left, Mu Hua and Mu Ping formed hand seals with both hands and activated the formation in the small palace. Hee, don't worry. Master told us to give you a elixir, so we'll definitely give you one. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.